In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. It's Untethered Live on a Sunday night. And tonight is a very special night. Tonight is Amanda's birthday. Everybody say happy birthday to Amanda. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Amanda. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. I hope you had a great day today. I hope all your dreams came true and all your wishes were fulfilled and all your little parts were touched and your belly's full. Happy birthday. All right. What it is first in chat. He says, hello, Jake and all. Hi, what it is. Nice to see you. You get a gold star for being first in chat. Is this your first one? Amy says, hi, what it is. And chapter 9 of the book of Enoch. And they shall seek the light and find righteousness with the Lord of spirits. There shall be peace to all the righteous in the name of the eternal Lord. Amen. It's a beautiful, beautiful expression. Because that's ultimately what we want, right? Peace on earth in the name of the Lord. That's what'll happen. Mabel's here. She says, ciao, everybody. Hello, Mabel. How are you, sweet lady? Are you still roughing it? Are you still by yourself out there in the wilderness? Mabel says, ciao, everybody, and happy birthday. Happy birthday, Amanda. Birthday cakes and hearts. Amanda says, what it is, here's your gold star. And hi, what it is, and Amy and Mabel and Hannah. Hamburger Helper Hand. And hello, Untethered Live family. Good to see you all. I hope everybody had a good week end. And hi, Jake. How are you tonight? A little scratchy, but all birthdayed up. I got my birthday mustache on, and I'm ready to rock and roll. How are you? How was your day? Have you been enjoying the day? Leisure as it may be. Mabel says, Hannah's not back home yet. They've been having too much fun. Madison is going to keep her for one more night. Isn't that how it goes when you're having fun? Girls just want to have fun. So the song says anyway. Amanda says, oh, that's great. I know you miss her, but enjoy some you time, heart. There's always room for you time. And Mabel says, these dogs have been keeping me company, but I am happy she's having a good time, right? It ain't quite the same, though, without her, is it? I know the feeling. But I'm glad you're here. And we're going to have a very good read tonight, and I hope you'll enjoy it and get a little bit of easy space to breathe and just think about the Lord's word, and that's all. Just have a good time. It's okay for you to have a good time, too. Amanda says, that's good. Doggy loving is best sometimes. I don't know if I'd go that far. I mean, sure, it's sweet, but it don't beat hugs. Patty's here. She says, hello, children's peace. Hey, Patty. How are you, sweet lady? Are you ready for some Enoch? We're in the great book of Enoch, Astronomy, chapter 77, verse 1, I believe it is. I'll have to look again, but I think that's what it is. Let me get that set up over there so I can see it. I still can't see it. It's all right. Amanda says, Patty, hamburger helper hand. And Debbie says, hello, all doggy lovers. Never mind, it's Bible study night. Doggy love? Doggy love? Yes. I said doggy love, not doggy style love. That's a little different. That does beat hugs, but just. La 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 la. Here we are. Amanda says, Debbie, hamburger helper hand. And thank you, baby. I love you. Heart and kissy face. Oh, I love you too. Happy birthday. I got your own special background and everything. A happy birthday background with balloons. I could have made them purple, but I didn't have time. Patty says, Miss Amanda, happy birthday, dog. Heart. Amanda says, Patty, thank you. Smiley face. And Amanda says, I have enjoyed my day. Big smiley face. It's an enjoyable day, isn't it? Nice and peaceful, easy going, no trouble, no drama. Mabel says, I am trying. Smiley face with a sweat bead rolling down. I understand. You keep on trying. You're doing a good job. What it is says, no, it's not my first gold star. And happy birthday, Amanda. Looking good at 29 and holding. With a bunch of bouquets and ribbons and explosions and balloons and birthday cakes and presents and more explosions and thumbs ups and an umbrella or whatever that is. Amy says, like, shared, and invited some friends. Yes, thank you very much, Amy. I appreciate you. Amanda says, when you have many horses for dogs, them cuddles can be the best sometimes. I've never had a mini horse for a dog. I will defer to your better judgment on that one. Amanda says, LOL, what it is, that's right. Smiley face. And thank you all for the birthday wishes. Well, you deserve every one of them. I hope you had a good day. Mabel says, yes, Amanda, and they don't seem to understand sometimes that they are horse-sized and not lap dogs, right? And I can see that. Trample through the house and jump up on your lap and break everything in the room getting there. Oh, yeah. I can see it. Amanda says, that's right, Mabel. Smiley face. Thank you to the person who provided coffee for the show. I appreciate it. It's a good cup. Don't you want to have a cup with me and talk about Bible stuff? If you so, go to the kitchen, pour yourself a nice hot cup, and let's get talking about it. If you don't have a cup, you can get one in the description below. I recommend the first one. It has my face on it. It is fantastic. It's a stainless steel tumblers down there also. They both have locking lids on there. We got big ones and little ones. They got the Bible study logo on the front. All the platforms on the back. They look good on your coffee table. Get one while supplies last. Also, like, subscribe, share, support, join, and super chats are available in the chat box if you want to show a little bit of love. But I got to go over here. If you want to, you can do that by going to CashApp, $JakeJohnsonBand on CashApp. $JakeJohnsonBand or PayPal.me/JakeJohnsonBand. One last thing. If you like to hang out with us outside of YouTube, get to know us on a personal level, share pictures, videos, text, memes, and chat, you can do that over at Facebook.com/UntetheredLive chilling. It's a great place to hang out and do all of those things. It has a group chat over there so you can share personal information and not worry about other people seeing it, like in the chat over here. And there are videos regularly updating there that are adjacent to the things we talk about. I put a good one over there today. It's quite a long one, but it's a good one, and it's going to blow your mind, so go check that out. And now, let's get on with the show, shall we? Let's go back over here for a minute. Ain't quite done with the birthdays yet. Patty says, Miss Amanda, are you on the backside of 30? She's on the backside of 40. No, you're on the backside of 40. That would be 45 and going. You're what, 44? 43? Which one? Yeah, but that don't matter. Well, are you 44 or 43? 45. You're 45? Today, yeah. Are you sure? I'm 6 years younger than you. I thought you were 43. I'm born in 81. I can't count. What's that got to do with the price of tea in China? Yep, you're on the backside of 40. The old 40. I remember those days. I would love to see them again. They are gone. Amanda says, LOL, Patty, I wish. Yeah, backside of 30 would be nice. 35, that would be nice. I would have energy for days. I would never leave you alone. That's how it goes, though. You get old and you get tired, and then you just sit there and grunt when you have to get up. It's an audible noise you make when you sit up that starts happening at about 40 years old. I don't know where that comes from, but it happens. Kevin Bernard's here. What's up, my brother? Nice to see you, my friend. Come on in. Kevin says, hello, Jake, Amanda, and everyone. Nice to see you, Kev. Oh, yeah. And thank you to all of those who have been here today. Thank you to all of those who wished Amanda a happy birthday. And thank you to all of you who support the show. And thank you for all of you who came, because it's going to be a good show. If you got your book of Enoch, get it close, because we're going to jump into it with gusto today. I got a little bit of voice, and I'm going to use it. Amanda says, Kevin, hamburger helper hand. Kevin says, hamburger helper hand, everybody. Patty says, hi, Mr. Kevin. Kevin says, happy birthday, Amanda. Kevin says, Patty. And Amanda says, thank you, Kevin. Yes, it's been a lovely, quiet day today. Not too cold, not too hot, not too busy, not too dramatic. Just a nice, even keel of a day. Can't beat that for a Sunday. And for a birthday. Have a steady stream of birthday wishes coming in morning, noon, and night, which is lovely. It's nice to know that people love you and thinking about you. That's the way it was on my birthday, too. I spent half the night clicking hearts. It's a small price to pay, but it's worth it to hit every one of those hearts. Amanda says, and Jake made me lasagna for dinner. It was delicious. Uh-oh. Now you know that's a lie. I made you lasagna by putting my best man on it. That's how I did it. But it was delicious. Very good meal. And even the dog got a little lasagna. She don't usually get lasagna, so that was a treat. All right. We're going to jump right into it tonight because it's a fiery night. If you got your Bibles handy, I mean your books of Enoch. I don't mean Bible, I mean Book of Enoch. Crack it open to chapter 77, verse 1 of the book of Astronomy. That's the third book of Enoch. And let's see if we can get it going. Let's go down, shall we? Here we go. All right. And it reads, and the first quarter is called the east, because it is the first. And the second is the south, east, south, because the Most High will descend there. Pay attention. Yea, there is therein quite a special sense will he who is blessed forever. I'll read that again. The south, because the Most High will descend there. Yea, therein quite a special sense will he who is blessed forever descend. It's going to be quite spectacular. What does that mean exactly? Well, if you think about the cardinal directions, north, south, east, west. Well, the way we look at it is north is up, but it's more like this. The east is to the right. The west is to the left. North is up and south is back. Right. So, if you picture him coming down through the south and then landing in the east, because Christ is going to come through the east gate in Jerusalem, which is in the east. That's why that whole wall has been bricked up, because the whatever guy's name, I can't remember his name now, was in charge back then. King had it bricked up, so he was going to stop the return of the Messiah by bricking up the wall. And it's been that way for like 300 or 400 years, or however long it's been. But that wall is just going to come apart when Christ gets here, because he is going to come through that gate. And that's right there at the Mount of Olives. And so when he goes through that gate, he's going to touch down at the Mount of Olives, at the highest peak of the mount. And that's where Christ is coming. But this says that God is going to show up in the south. So you'd have to look at the landmass to see how that's going to work out from the south to the east. So apparently it's going to be traversing the world where everybody's going to get a chance to see him coming. That's the way I'm picturing it anyway. You have to stay with me there, but that's kind of how I see it happening. April Rain, how are you, dear? April says, hey, birthday girl, love you. Heart. Amanda says, hamburger, help her hand, April. And April says, hello, everyone. I'm driving. Much love, y'all. Hearts and hugs and smiley faces with herpes. All right. And the west quarter is named the diminished, because they're all the luminaries of the heaven wane and go down. Now, if you're in the east and you're watching the sun rise, you're going to see it rise in the east and set in the west. Is that right? Or does it rise in the west and set in the east? It rises in the east. That's right. So everything's going to go that way in the luminaries, the stars. As the sun comes up in the morning, the stars are going to go down in the morning. So that gives you an idea of when this is all going to take place. So a long way to say that it's going to happen early. The Bible alludes to that by saying he's going to come like a thief in the night, meaning you're not going to expect it. So for the East's perspective, it's going to happen early in the morning. And the fourth quarter, named the North, is divided into 3 parts. The first of them is for the dwelling of men, and the second contains seas of water, and the abysses and forests and rivers and darkness and clouds, and the third part contains the garden of righteousness. Now, think about the northern hemisphere of the planet Earth. If you're looking at a globe, get over to where Jerusalem is facing up. If you look at the northern hemisphere of a globe, you've got the United States over here on one side, and you've got Africa right in the middle. And then you've got Asia and China and all that over here on the right side. And in between all of those land masses are water masses. The Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, Indian Ocean, whatever, on and on and on. Mediterranean Sea, whatever it is. There's big groups of water in between the big land masses, basically speaking. So he's basically describing that as he looks at it from that perspective. If you're looking at the northern hemisphere of the earth, like from the equator up to the pole. And guess what? The garden of righteousness is right in the middle. I'm guessing that means the Garden of Eden. And we've had this conversation before when he used that term. And it turned out he was talking about the Garden of Eden. And that is, if you'll look at the map, the water, the Red Sea looks like 2 fingers like that. And it's coming right up here to Africa. And Egypt is right there in that area. Now, if you'll follow those two fingers down to where they V, and then a little bit further on in, the Red Sea there, that's where the Red Sea is. That's where the Garden of Eden was. And how do I know that? Well, because the Bible describes where it was according to 4 rivers. 2 of those rivers still exist, but 2 of them have gone dry. However, if you're on the ground, you can't see it. But if you're in the air, you can see the riverbeds where they used to sit that have gone dry. It's called the Wadi. You can go look it up. And that is the Pishon River. Now it's called the Wadi. And it's where all of the, it tells you in the Bible what all rocks are found in these areas. And they're all on the dry land. If you walk down the Wadi, you can find all of these rocks. Just like the Bible says, they're right there. So those 4 rivers come to a head right there at that little point between those 2 little fingers of land and sea. That's the Garden of Eden. So his description of it is quite clear that he has seen it from the air. Okay, because there's no way to know this if you're standing on the ground. I saw 7 high mountains, higher than all the mountains which are on the earth, and thence come forth hoarfrost, and days, seasons, and years pass away. So time is passing by really fast. Hang on, I got to block off my chat so I don't lose my place. All right. Dodi Estes, welcome back. Long time no see. Heart back at you. Come on in. We're in the great book of Enoch if you'd like to join along. We're in chapter 77 of the 3rd book, the book of Astronomy. Chapter 77, verse 5, And he's seeing years and days and months and seasons pass away. And I saw 7 rivers on the earth, larger than all the rivers. One of them, coming from the west, pours its water into the great sea. These 2 come from the north to the sea and pour their waters into the Erythraean Sea in the east. And the remaining 4 come on the side of the north to their own sea. And 2 of them to the Erythraean Sea, and 2 into the Great Sea, and discharge themselves there, some say, into the desert. That's interesting. 7 great islands I saw in the sea, and in the mainland, 2 in the mainland, and 5 in the Great Sea. If you'd like to count them, you can. Now, I would like to know how a goat farmer would know this detail. Having never been out in the ocean, having never circumnavigated the globe, having never seen it from the air, how does he know all of these details? Because he's correct. It's also interesting that he notes the desert, because I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but the Sahara Desert is not a natural phenomenon. That's post-flood. That's happened since the flood. It used to be green and lush there. That's why you find carcasses of whales and things in the desert, because there used to be water there, lots of it. Chapter 78. And the names of the sun are the following. The first, Orgères, and the second, Tomaz. And the moon has 4 names. The first name is Asanja, and the second is Ebla, and the third is Benez, and the fourth is Ari. These are the 2 great luminaries. Their circumference is like the circumference of the heaven, and the size of the circumference of both is alike. Interesting that he pointed that out. They're not alike. They're exactly 1/4 the size of the other one. One is 1/4 the size of the other one. From our perspective here on Earth, when you look at the moon and the sun, if they were lined up they would look exactly to the diameter, the same size, from our perspective only. If you move anywhere else in the universe, they look different. But from where we're standing on this earth, they look exactly the same size because they're exactly the same distance apart as they are smaller than each other or larger than each other, which is a phenomenon that doesn't happen anywhere else. I think that was just something God threw in there to be cheeky. Look, you get to see it every day. Now, as for the names of these things, the 4 names and the 2 names, I think he's just saying that at one time the different phases had names to keep up with what phases they were. I'm thinking that's what it is. I would have to do a name study and figure out what these words mean in Hebrew to really know the meaning of what they're saying here. But it has to do with the action of the sun and the size and the motion of the sun and all of that. So these names are just talking about the different phases or the different actions of these 2 things. In the circumference of the sun, there are 7 portions of light, which are added to it more than to the moon. And in definite measures, it is transferred till the 7th portion of the sun is exhausted. 7 times brighter than the moon. That's what he's saying. And I believe he said something similar to this last time we read. I don't know if they were the same numbers. I got to go back and look to compare the 2 of what he said. But it was something to this effect. And they set and enter the portals of the west and make their revolution by the north and come forth through the east portals on the face of the heaven. Notice the singular use of the word heaven. He's talking about where the stars are. And when the moon rises, 1/14th part appears in the heavens. The light becomes full in her. On the 14th day, she accomplishes her light. And 15 parts of light are transferred to her till the 15th day, when her light is accomplished, according to the sign of the year, and she becomes 15 parts, and the moon grows by the addition of 14 parts. And in her waning, the moon decreases on the first day 14 parts of her light, and on the second day 13 parts of her light, and on the 3rd day 12 parts of her light, and on the 4th day 11, and on the 5th 10, and on the 6th 9, and on the 7th 8, and on the 8th 7, and on the 9th 6, and on the 10th 5, and on the 11th 4, and on the 12th 3, and on the 13th 2, and on the 14th half of a 7th. That's how the moon decreases as it goes through its phases. You can do the math. He is correct. And all her remaining light disappears wholly on the 15th. And in the certain months, the month has 29 days, like February, leap year February, and once 28 days. No, I think almost every month it has 28 days now. Maybe back then it only had 1. We've changed the calendar like 3 times since this was written, so maybe 4 times. And Uriel showed me another law. When light is transferred to the moon, and on which side it is transferred to her by the sun. Also a very interesting point. I want you to understand that the moon does not rotate around the earth. Oh, I know. Shocking, right? He can't say that. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. The moon does not rotate around the earth. The moon rotates around the sun, just like we do. It is tidal locked to the earth. You do the math. You take 2 balls and tidal lock them. That means this face always faces this face. And try to make it go around it while it's going around another ball. Try to make that happen. You can't. The only answer is both the earth and the moon travel around the sun. And the earth is spinning, so it looks like the moon is traveling around the earth. It is not. It is tidally locked to the earth. The earth moves, the moon does not. Okay, it might wiggle a little, but it's not rotating like you think it is. That's a lie. That's something that's told to you for convenience sake. But get you a couple of balls and try to make that work out. Draw a dot on a ball and imagine that's you. And draw a dot on the moon and imagine that face is always facing this dot. That dot's facing this dot. And try to make them rotate around each other. See if it works. I promise you it won't. All right. It's interesting that he points it out. Which side does the moon get its light? Only one side. The other side is always dark. That's what it means to be tidally locked. The other side of the moon never sees the sun. Okay. I lost my place. Oh, I found it. When the light is transferred to the moon, on which side it is transferred to her by the sun. During all the period during which the moon is growing in her light, she is transferring it to herself. When opposite to the sun, during 14 Daysher, light is accomplished in the heavens. What now? She's transferring light to herself. That means that there's a portion of time that the moon is making its own light. And yes, scientists have figured that out now. They don't talk about it, and you're not going to read it in a textbook, but the moon absolutely luminesces. It is not much light. You can't read by it. You might not even be able to see it unless you're looking for it, but it does make its own light. And it might have at one time made more light than it's making now. I don't know. Sounds like it, though. It's very. If you've ever been in Florida at night, in the North Florida, like in Lake City in that area, where there's a lot of phosphorus in the ground, and seen the forests glowing in the dark, that's kind of what the moon looks like when it makes its own light. It's visible, but you wouldn't notice it unless you were just out there in the dark looking for it. Then you'd see it. Then everything would be glowing bright, and you'd feel like you were in an Avatar movie, because that's what it looks like. But unless you were looking for it, you'd never even notice it. But it is there. Matter of fact, there's blue spots on the moon too, which is weird. Nobody really knows what causes that. I'm guessing it's some kind of gas or something, but I don't really know. This word Daysher, by the way, is an old word. We don't use this word anymore. It just means as the day goes on, or towards the ending of the day, or the completion of the day. 14 Daysher. As the completion of those days come to pass, the light is accomplished in heaven. And when she is illuminated throughout, meaning full moon, her light is accomplished full in the heaven, and on the first day she is called the new moon. That's when there's no moon. You can't see it. For on that day the light rises upon her, and she becomes full moon. Maybe if a new moon is when it's full. I thought it was when it was dark. Maybe I got that backwards. Becomes full moon exactly on the day when the sun sets in the west, and from the east she rises at night. That means when they're exactly on the opposite sides of the planet in relationship to the earth. They're on opposite sides. She rises at night, and the moon shines the whole night through, till the sun rises over against her, and the moon is seen over against the sun. So they trade places throughout the night. From our perspective, obviously the sun doesn't rise or set. We're going around it, but from this earth, on this ground, it looks like it rises. So that's the language we've always used to describe it. On the side whence the light of the moon comes forth, there again she wanes till all the light vanishes, and all the days of the month are at the end. And her circumference is empty, void of light. That means dark. That's when it's no light. So new moon is when it's full, and no light, no moon is when it's black. Okay, I had it backwards. And 3 months she takes of 30 days. And at her time, she makes 3 months of 29 days each, in which she accomplishes her waning in the first period of time, and in the first portal for 177 days. And in that time of her going out, she appears for 3 months of 30 days each. And for 3 months, she appears of 29 days each. At night, she appears like a man for 20 days each time. At night, she appears like a man. Are we talking about the man in the moon? You can see the face? Yes. I think that's what he's saying. For 20 days each time, and by day she appears like the heaven, and there is nothing else in her save her light. That means that it's only her light effervescing, not the sun's light reflecting. That's when it goes dark. And now, my son, I have shown thee everything. By the way, guess who we're talking to? Guess who's talking, and guess who's talking to? This is Methuselah talking to Noah, interestingly enough. Now, my son, I have shown thee everything, and the law of all the stars of the heaven is completed. And he showed me all the laws of these for every day and for every season of the bearing rule, and for every year, and for its going forth, and for the order prescribed to its every month and every week, and the waning of the moon which takes place in the 6th portal. For in this 6th portal her light is accomplished, and after that there is the beginning of the waning. And the waning, which takes place in the 1st portal, is in its season till 177 days are accomplished. Reckoned according to weeks, 25 weeks and 2 days. She falls behind the sun, and the order of the stars exactly 5 days in the course of one period. And when this place which thou seest has been traversed, such is the picture and sketch every luminary which Uriel, the archangel, who is their leader, showed unto me. So he had to draw it out. He had to make a map of all the stars and all the moon's phases as it goes. If you're standing on the earth looking out across the field, right, and you look directly up at the sky, you see like the globe over your head of the sky. You understand that that's what it is. If you were to take a magic marker and just start drawing lines at equal intervals across your head as you get all the way around, make them even all the way around, those are the portals that he's talking about. Each portal of the sky as we go over, right? And as the moon rises, it goes into that portal and stays there. And it doesn't break that law. Every year it does exactly the same thing. Has been for many generations, many, many, many moons. And it goes across the sky in those portals and spends an appropriate amount of time in each one. Well, that in turn causes the tides on the earth to move in a certain way, because every time it goes overhead, it causes a little bump on the earth because it's pulling up on the earth ever so slightly. And the only thing that really reacts to that is the water, because it's not attached like the ground is. So the water rises ever so slightly where the moon is. Every time it goes over, the water rises with it as it goes. And as you can see that happening, it starts to create waves. And it starts to push the extra water off as it goes. Now you have waves, and waves cause wind to start blowing, because the wave comes up and grabs the wind and pushes it forward, and the wind moves, and it's like a butterfly effect. Everything moves that way a little bit. Now you have wind moving, and it causes it to start circulating around the world in certain areas as the land provides. now you have the jet stream in action. And everything is built off of these laws, right? All the way down to when it rains and the thunder and the lightning and the cold air and the hot air and how everything works starts with the moon going overhead and keeping its law and its rhythm exactly like it does month after month, day after day, year after year. And that rhythm causes the whole Earth to swing into action, and no other planet does that. Because according to the size of this Earth, we have the largest moon in our solar system. There are bigger moons, but not in relationship to their planets. The moon is almost as big as a planet. It's almost a second planet or a sister planet. So there you have that. It's pretty interesting, eh? All right. So he wrote this all down in a book, and it could be, and I don't know this to be true or not, but we don't actually know where the zodiac came from, and we've been relying on that thing since the beginning of time, and it has always been here, and as far back as we can look, there's been evidence of it or some form of it. So we don't know who the author of the zodiac is, but I'm willing to submit that it was Enoch, because he just said right there that he had to write all this down. And the way he knew about it, he didn't have a telescope. Uriel took him up there and showed it to him. So that's how he knew. And in those days the angel Uriel answered and said unto me, Behold, I have shown thee everything, Enoch, and I have revealed everything to thee, that thou shouldest see this sun and this moon, and the leaders of the stars of the heaven, and all those who turn them, their tasks and times and departures, and in the days of the sinners the years shall be shortened. Psst. Oh, are you telling me that he knew back then that we wouldn't live 900 years in the future? Because our days get shortened considerably after the flood. And he's telling him all this now. How do you think that these guys knew what was going on? How do you think Noah was really ready and prepared to build an ark? How do you think he knew the destruction of the world was coming? You know, his father was Methuselah, whose father was Enoch. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. I think Methuselah was Noah's grandfather. I think that's how that works. I think Enoch was Methuselah's son. Noah was Enoch's son, maybe. I got to go back and look. I can't remember. Does anybody know? Write it down if you do. I can't remember. I did know, but I've forgotten. They're related anyway, very closely. But all of these guys had to be talking about this, had to be thinking about it, because they were in contact with each other. Noah was just mentioned in this book last time we read it. So a few pages ago, Noah and Methuselah were mentioned. They were talking. When we first started reading this book, they were still talking. Then it switched over to Enoch. But the days of the sinners shall be shortened, and their seed shall be tardy on their lands and fields, and all things on the earth shall alter, and shall not appear in their time, and the rain shall be kept back. Big famine, which happened, quite a few years of it. And the heaven shall withhold it, the rain. And in those times the fruit of the earth shall be backward, and shall not grow in their time, and the fruit of the trees shall be withheld in their time, and the moon shall alter her order, and not appear at her time. And in those days the sun shall be seen, and he shall journey in the evening on the extremity of the great chariot of the west. It is I guess you could call that Capricorn or Cancer, something around that area. And shall shine more brightly than accords with the order of light, and many chiefs of the stars shall transgress the order prescribed. They'll go past what they're supposed to be doing. And these shall alter their orbits and tasks, and not appear at the seasons prescribed to them. And the whole order of the stars shall be concealed from the sinners. And the thoughts of those on the earth shall err concerning them. They won't have it right. There'll be people trying to figure it out, but they'll all have the wrong ideas. Kind of like our scientists today. They'll err concerning them, and they shall be altered from all their ways. And yea, they shall err, and take them to be gods, and evil shall be multiplied upon them, and punishment shall come upon them, so as to destroy all. Now, you could take this as things that have already occurred, such as the long day of Joshua, or, any number of times during the 7-year famine or anything like that. Or you could take this to mean what's going to happen when the Bible in Revelations records the stars falling. Well, that would certainly mean they moved out of their place, right? That's what this is saying. There's going to come a time where everything in heaven is not going to be where it's supposed to be, and everybody's going to freak out about it and have opinions and ideas, but they're not going to be the right ones. They're going to get it wrong, and they're going to take that to mean that these things are gods. They're going to worship these things. Has that already happened? If not, it's gonna. Chapter 81. And he said unto me, Observe, Enoch, these heavenly tablets, and read what is written thereon, and mark every individual fact. And I observed the heavenly tablets, and read everything which was written thereon, and I understood everything. And I read the book of all the deeds of mankind, and of all the children of flesh that shall be upon the earth, to the remotest generations. That's the latest generations. So he's clearly talking about what's coming, not what's already happened. And forthwith I blessed the great Lord, the King of glory forever, in that he has made all the works of the world. And I extolled the Lord because of his patience, and blessed him because of the children of men. And after that I said, Blessed is the man who dies in righteousness and goodness, concerning whom there is no book of unrighteousness written, and against whom no day of judgment shall be found. That's Christ, by the way. You think Christ wasn't in the Old Testament? Anybody ever said that? You ever hear anybody say that? Christ ain't even in the Old Testament. You want to bet? He's on every page. You just have to look for him. He's on every page of the Old Testament and on every page of every book that was taken out of the Old Testament. You just have to know where to look. No day of judgment shall be found. That's Christ, because he's the only one perfect and don't deserve judgment. And those 7 holy ones brought me and placed me on the earth before the door of my house, and said to me, Declare everything to thy son Methuselah, and show to all thy children that no flesh is righteous in the sight of the Lord. He is no respecter of persons, for he is their creator. Now, did Enoch tell Methuselah and Noah that all he saw was coming? That the world would be destroyed? God would judge the earth and destroy it? Yes, he did. That's why Noah knew what to do. He knew how to handle that. And you might ask yourself, why would an angel come down and show a man all of this? Well, because that family is the only family on earth that was not tainted by the false beings on this earth, the angels that came down and mated with women. The whole earth had been covered with their seed. This is the only family left that was not tainted by that blood. It's the only family that walked in righteousness after God. So he was trying to prepare them so that they could rebuild the earth with all the knowledge of what it takes to rebuild the earth and how to do it efficiently. That's why the angels are ministering to Enoch to prepare his family for what's coming. For when Methuselah dies, the flood starts. Methuselah was blessed. God said, as long as you're alive, I won't destroy the world for your sake. That's in the Old Testament. But when Methuselah died at 998 years old, that day the flood began. The end of the world, as it were, began on that day. So yeah, Noah had to know what he was doing, and he had to get it done in a reasonable amount of time. For he is their creator. 1 year we will leave thee with thy son, till thou givest thy last commands, that thou mayest teach thy children and record it for them, and testify to all thy children. And in the 2nd year they shall take thee from their midst. And let thy heart be strong, for the good shall announce the righteous to the good, or shall announce righteousness to the good. The righteous with the righteous shall rejoice, and shall offer congratulations to one another. But the sinners shall die with the sinners, and the apostate go down with the apostate. And those who practice righteousness shall die on account of the deeds of men, and be taken away on account of the doings of the godless. And in those days they ceased to speak to me, and I came to my people, blessing the Lord of the world. Why did they quit talking to him? Well, they thought he was crazy. Could you imagine? Could you imagine a goat herder running around telling you, hey, the end is near, come get in this boat? It's never rained before, by the way. It's going to rain now. Why are you building a boat? Because it's going to rain a lot. We've never seen rain. What are you talking about? Oh, it's coming. Yeah, right. Get in the boat. No. Really, you're going to die. Get in the boat. That's what he had to do. Just try to imagine it. Try to picture one guy or 3 guys trying to convince the world to repent and get in the boat. It's not going to happen. Can you imagine when they all did get in the boat and they're all laughing at them? Look at these idiots in there locking themselves in a boat with a bunch of animals. Retards, it must stink in there, right? Then it starts raining. And they laugh for a little while. They keep giggling for a little while, but now it's ankle deep. And they're starting to murmur a little bit. And the laughter is breaking up just a little. Now it's knee deep. And they're starting to think, and this is crazy, right? It's never rained this much before. Now it's waist deep. And they're thinking, I think we should probably start heading towards the boat, don't you think? Now it's neck deep and they're beating on the wall of the boat saying, hey, I'm sorry, let us in. What can he do? It's too late now. God's in there, in the boat with them, and he closed the door inside. They ain't getting in. Could you imagine being on the other side of that wall listening to them drowned? Scratching and clawing, trying to get in or climb up the wall? It's too late now. That's where you're going to be if you don't repent. That's what's going to happen to you if you don't stop right now and hear God when he's talking to you. Because he is talking to you through this scratchy voice and others. He's telling you, you don't have much time left. Get in the boat. It's going to rain. It's going to rain a lot. You don't have much time. You better get moving. Get something going. It'll be all right. It's never rained. Are you crazy? Like I'm going to sit in a boat with a bunch of animals? The apostate will go down with the apostate for the sake of the sinners, because of the wickedness of men, the godlessness. And in those days they ceased to speak to me, he says. They stopped talking to me. And I came to my people, blessing the Lord of this world. They didn't want nothing to do with it. You're a crazy guy. And now, chapter 82, my son Methuselah, all these things I am recounting to thee and writing down for thee, and I have revealed to thee everything, and given thee books concerning all these. So preserve, my son Methuselah. You want to know where the Bible came from? The Old Testament? Preserve, my son Methuselah, the books from thy father's hand, and see that thou deliver them to the generations of the world. I have given wisdom to thee, and to thy children, and to thy children that shall be to thee, that they may give it to their children for generations, this wisdom, namely, that passeth through their thought, the inherited knowledge given down, because these are really smart people. So they inherit brain power from their father. So namely that. Pass through their thought, that they think about it, that they mull over it, that they dwell on it for a while, to figure out what all of this means. I've given it to you. See to it that the world gets it. What is it? What are we talking about? These books, what are they? It's the book of Jasher. It's the book of Enoch. It's the book of Moses. It's the book of Noah. It's the book of Adam and Eve. They have different names now. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy. But these books were written in these days by these people. I know science says something else, but they're guessing, and so am I. But the Bible tells you who wrote them. Why not believe it? Why must I believe that it's a lie when you can't verify that it's not? You say it is, but how do you know it is? Where'd you come about that information? Because you just assumed it? Because it didn't agree with something you learned in school? Bible's been here a lot longer than you have, and it says Enoch wrote this book. So why don't I believe that? I do. And those who understand it shall not sleep, but shall listen with the ear, that they may learn this wisdom. And it shall please those that eat thereof better than good food. This wisdom, it's better than good food. It's better for your body than good food. Wisdom is. It shall please those that eat of the wisdom, because it's better than good food. Blessed are those that are righteous. Blessed are all those who walk in the way of the righteousness, and sin not as the sinners who die in the flood, in the reckoning of all their days in which the sun traverses the heaven, entering into the departing from the portals for 30 days with the heads of thousands of the orders of the stars, together with 4 which are intercalated, which divide the 4 portions of the year, which lead them and enter with them 4 days. Owing to them, men shall be at fault, and not reckon them in the whole reckoning of the year. Yea, men shall be at fault, and not recognize them accurately, the stars. Men will be at fault when they don't recognize what's happening. What he's saying is there will be signs that tell you what's coming. You can make this a metaphor. We're talking about the end of the world. We're talking about the flood. We're talking about what's coming in their day. It's also talking about what's coming in our day. The return of Christ, the tribulation, the mark of the beast, the rise of the one world government. All of this stuff is coming down the pipe. And the Bible says, right here, he says, men will not recognize the signs. It'll be their fault because they don't recognize it. I'm showing you, but you don't recognize it. Why? Because you think one thing when I told you another thing. That's why. If you're following BCE instead of BC, you're looking at the wrong stars. Get it? The dates are wrong. If you rely on carbon dating instead of biblical dating, you got the wrong dates, which means the end is going to work out in a different place, and you're not going to see it coming. See how that works? If the Bible says there's an oasis with 12 palmetto bushes and 12 wells in this location in Midian, if you go there and dig, you'll find 12 palm trees and 12 wells in Midian, and then a scientist will tell you, well, it's in the wrong era of BCE, so it can't be the place the Bible was because it's in a different era. That happens every day. But it's right where the Bible said it was. That's the place. Who's wrong? The Bible or the scientist? Just saying. If you're looking in the wrong place, you're going to recognize the wrong stars. You're not going to see it coming. It'll be your fault. For they belong to the reckoning of the year and are truly recorded thereon forever. One in the first portal and on the third, and one on the third, and one on the fourth, and one on the sixth, and the year is completed in 364 days. That's the year. It's actually 364.7 days. Interesting that there's a 7 right after that. I didn't put it there, but that's what it says. And 364 days, 7. And the account thereof is accurate, and the recorded reckonings thereof exact. You can't mess it up. Look up. You cannot mess it up. All you got to do is count. If you count, you cannot mess it up. It's exact. 364 days, that's a year. Do the math. What are we talking about, by the way? 70 weeks of Daniel, generation of the fig tree. 70 weeks of Daniel ends in 1948. Israel comes back together as a nation state, thus beginning the beginning of the generation of the fig tree. Christ said all these things will come to pass in that generation. What's a generation? It's either 30 years, 70 years, or 120 years, respectively, depending on what you're talking about. We've already passed 30 and 70. There's only one left. 120 years. That puts us at about 2036. Am I predicting the end of the world? No, but that's what the math says. By 2036, all these things will come to pass. If you're not looking for it, you will miss it. If you don't recognize the signs when you see it, it'll go by you. You will miss it. And it'll be your fault because you're not listening. Let him that have ears to hear and eyes to see, hear and see. That means pay attention. Understand what's being said to you right now. Humble yourself. You don't know everything. But the reckoning is exact. For the luminaries and months and festivals and years and days has Uriel shown and revealed unto me, to whom the Lord of the whole creation of the world hath subjected the host of heaven. And he has power over night and day in heaven to cause the light, to give light, and the men, and the sun, and the moon, and the stars, and all the powers of the heaven, singular, which revolve in their circular chariots. And these are their orders, the orders of the stars, which set in their places and in their seasons and the festivals and the months. And these are the names of those who led them, who watch that they enter at the time and in their orders and in the seasons and in their months and in their periods of dominion and their positions. This is an exact science. It does not make a mistake. You understand what I'm saying to you? Look up. They don't mess up. They are on time. Everything is centered and focused on making sure that they show up at the right time. Everything. 1% in any direction. Over 10,000 different factors. 1% wrong, life doesn't exist. A little bit this way, a little bit that way, life doesn't exist. It has to be exactly like it is. Like a Swiss Army clock. It's perfect. You understand? That means when it says that it's time, it's time. Don't listen to these people that'll confuse you. Don't listen to the people that'll tell you it's something else. Don't let them talk to you about dark energy and black holes and string theory and fill your mind with nonsense when it's right in front of you and telling you that it's now. Time is now. You don't have any more. You're at the end. Okay? If you cannot describe to me what a black hole is, I don't need you to tell me about it. Because that's a theory that you came up with. And if I can't see one, I don't want to know about it. If I can't see dark energy, I don't want to spend any brain power thinking about it. All I need to know is, does the stars do what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do them? Because this book says that they are set in precision. They are exact. They don't make mistakes. From the beginning of the Garden of Eden until today, mankind has maintained a 7-week period. Every 7 days there's a Sabbath. And that has not broken since the beginning of earth, since the beginning of mankind. And why do I know that's true? Because it's incumbent upon their souls to get it right. They don't mess that up because they believe in God. They believe their soul will be damaged if they miss. So they don't miss. They take great pains to get it right. Mankind is doing that. God set the stars in motion. You think he's making a mistake? No. God put those things where they are, and every day they are at the precise place they're supposed to be for thousands of years. They don't miss. So it doesn't matter what scientists theorize or say. It doesn't matter what Neil deGrasse Tyson's opinion is. It doesn't matter what Bill the science guy says. What matters is look up. If that thing says it's time, it's time. How do you know it's time? Because God told you in the book what would happen when it was time. Go read Revelations. He tells you what's going to happen. Sun will turn to blood, and the moon will turn to blood, and the sun will turn to sackcloth, and the stars will fall. Wormwood, or however you want to call it, Beetlejuice will explode. That'll bitter the waters. When you see those things happen, that's the end. You don't get no more time. It's over. Write it down that I said so. Therefore, leaders who divide the 4 parts of the year enter first. And after them, 12 leaders of the order who divide the months. And for the 360 days, there are heads over thousands who divide the days. And for the 4 intercalary days, intercalary, I like that name. I like that word, intercalary. I'm sure that's not how you say it. Intercalary, I think is how you say it, but that doesn't sound right. I like intercalary, like extrapolate. Interpolate. We're interpolating this book. And the 4 days left, there are the leaders which sunder the 4 parts of the year. And these heads over thousands that intercalated between leader and leader, each behind a station. But their leaders make the division, and these are the names of the leaders who divided the 4 parts of the year, which are ordained. Milkil, Elimelech, and Melejal. One extra L there. Melejal and Nerel. And these are the names of those who lead them. Adnarel, Ejashuel, and Elomil. And these 3 follow the leaders of those orders. And there is one that follows 3 leaders of the orders which follow those leaders of the stations that divide the 4 parts of the year. In the beginning of the year, Melchizedek rises first and rules, who is named Tamaini, and sun. The sun rises first and rules. And all the days of his dominion, whilst he bears rule, are 91 days. And these are the signs of those days which are to be seen on earth in the days of his dominion: sweat and heat and calms, and all the trees bear fruit, and leaves are produced on all trees, and the harvest of wheat, and the rose flowers, and all the flowers which come forth in the field. But the trees of the winter season become withered. Notice they don't die, they just wither. Trees are not alive by the standard of the Bible. They don't have wherein the breath of life is breathed into the nostrils, so they are not alive. They are living, but they're not alive. Those are different things, biblically speaking. We don't wither, we die. They wither and then come back. The trees of the winter season become withered, and these are the names of the leaders which are under them: 𝕊𝕦𝕬𝕪, 𝔹𝕚𝕓𝕝𝕪, and another who is added ahead of 1,000, called 𝕊𝕬𝕬𝕪. 𝕊𝕬𝕬𝕪. Why don't you just call him Bob? Jesus Christ. And the days of the dominion of the leader are at an end, of this leader. His dominion is over. Why is that, I wonder? Could he be one of those that overstepped when God put him in his position of leadership? And then God had to judge him in Psalm 88? Could be. I don't know. There were angels, maybe, some kind of spiritual beings that God put over provinces as gods to rule the world in his stead in the beginning. There were other gods on this earth. I'm using the word God. That's not the right word, but I'm using that so that you understand what I'm talking about. They were rulers over provinces of the world, and they were little sections of the world that they had rule over. But they got together and thought they could run everything, and God had to fire them. God totally Donald Trumped these guys and put them in the abyss. And those are the beginning of the falling angels. I don't know how many of them there were, but God already judged them. They're the only things that have already been judged. They're alluded to in Genesis, and they're alluded to in Psalms and a few other places in the Bible and Revelations. And we don't know much about them because somewhere around Abraham, God took over and became our God. Until then, he was just called God. And after Abraham, he was called Lord God. So there's a difference. He became the one God, and the 10 Commandments were given shortly thereafter, and there I have no other gods before me. So that's why, just so you know. All right. The next leader after him is 𝕊𝕬𝕬𝕪, whom one names the shining sun, and all the days of his light are 91 days. And these are the signs of his days on the earth: glowing heat and dryness. And the trees ripen the fruits and produce all their fruits and ripe and ready. And the sheep pair and become pregnant. This must be the spring guy. And all the fruits of the earth are gathered in, and everything that is in the fields and the winepress. These things take place in the days of his dominion. And these are the names and the orders and the leaders of those heads of thousands: jakejohnsonband, keel, and heel. And the name of the heads of 1,000, which added to them, Asphil. Asphil? And the days of his dominion are at an end. Now, if you're wondering who these people are, he's telling you who they are by what their seasons are. He's calling them out by their seasons. And that's exactly what they are, the seasons. He's naming the seasons. And in this time, that's when it's hot, summertime. And in this time, it's springtime. That's when all the fruit is bearing, and it's raining, and everything's lush. And in this time, it starts getting cold, and things start to wither away. That's what he's doing. He's naming seasons. But apparently, there are angels that are over that cause those things to occur. I'm just reading it like it says it. And now, my son Methuselah, I will show thee all my visions, which I have seen, recounting them before thee. 2 visions I saw before I took a wife, and the one was quite unlike the other. I bet it was. The first, when I was learning to write. The second, before I took thy mother, when I saw a terrible vision, and regarding them I prayed to the Lord. and I had laid me down in the house of my grandfather Mahalalel, when I saw in a vision how the heaven collapsed and was borne off and fell to the earth. That's in Revelations. So Enoch saw the same thing John of Patmos saw when he wrote Revelations. Different generations by, 3,000 years? Enoch was about 3,000 years before, or maybe 4,000 years before John of Patmos. And they saw the same vision. Interesting. He saw the heaven fall, like the stars fall. They broke off and fell. That's what he's describing. To the earth. And when it fell to the earth, I saw how the earth was swallowed up in a great abyss, and mountains were suspended on mountains, and hills sank down on hills, and high trees were rent from their stems, and hurled down and sunk in the abyss. And thereupon a word fell into my mouth. And I lifted up my voice to cry aloud, and I said, the earth is destroyed. And my grandfather Mahalalel waked me as I lay there near him, and said unto me, why dost thou cry so, my son? And why dost thou make such lamentation? And I recounted to him the whole vision which I had seen. And he said unto me, a terrible thing hast thou seen, my son, and of grave moment. This is thy dream. He's going to tell him what that means. Vision as to the secrets. If all the sin of the earth, it must sink into the abyss and be destroyed with a great destruction. And now, my son, arise and make petition to the Lord of glory, since thou art a believer. You've proven yourself to be a believer. You've reached the age of accountability. Go petition the Lord. Make a sacrifice. Say your prayers. Be one with God now that you see it. That a remnant may remain on this earth, and that he may not destroy the whole earth, my son. From heaven all this will come upon the earth, and upon the earth there will be great destruction. And after that I arose and prayed, and implored and besought, and wrote down my prayer for the generations of the world. And I will show everything to thee, my son Methuselah. And when I had gone forth below, and seen the heaven, and the sun rising in the east, and the moon setting in the west, and a few stars, and the whole earth, and everything as he had known in the beginning, then I blessed the Lord of judgment, and extolled him, because he had made the sun go forth from the windows of the east, and he has ascended and rose on the face of the heavens, and set out, and kept traversing the path shown unto him, as it always has. For as long as there are days of men, the sun will come up and the sun will go down. All right. I lifted up my hands in righteousness, and I blessed the Holy Great One. And I spake with the breath of my mouth, whispering, with the tongue of flesh, which God has made for the children of the flesh of men, that they should speak therewith. And he gave them breath and tongue and a mouth, that they should speak therewith. How do you talk to God? With your mouth. You speak with your tongue. You say it out loud. Let the breath come out. That's why God gave it to you, so you could talk to him, not each other. Well, you might ask, how do you do that? How do you talk to God? How do you even strike up a conversation with the Almighty? Let me tell you. Christ was asked this question. 4,000 years from now, Christ is born, and he roams the earth and meets a Pharisee in the street, and he says, how should we pray to God, Rabbi? You know what he told him? He said, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation. Deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. That's it. That's it. That's how you talk to God. Those things, not necessarily those words. Let's see how Methuselah does it. He says, Blessed be thou, O Lord King, great and mighty in thy greatness, Lord of the whole creation of the heavens, King of kings and God of the whole world. And thy power and kingship and greatness abide forever and ever. And throughout all generations thy dominion, and all the heavens are thy throne forever, and the whole earth thy footstool forever and ever. For thou hast made, and thou hast rulest all things, and nothing is too hard for thee. Wisdom departs not from the place of thy throne, nor turns away from thy presence, and thou knowest and seest and hearest everything. And there is nothing hidden from therefore, see thou everything. And now the angels of thy heavens are guilty with trespass, and upon the flesh of men abideth thy wrath until great day of judgment. And now, O God and Lord and great King, I implore and I beseech thee to fulfill my prayer, to leave me posterity on earth, to not destroy all flesh of men, and make the earth without inhabitants. Don't etch-a-sketch the whole thing. Leave something here, so that there should be an eternal destruction. And now, my Lord, destroy from the earth the flesh which has aroused thy wrath, but the flesh of righteousness and upright, established as a plant for the eternal seed. Hide not thy face from the prayer of thy servants, O Lord. That's it. What did he say? Was it magical? Did he say anything too complicated or too hard? Is it anything you couldn't figure out from your perspective? What did he ask for? A whole bunch of praising God because he's worth it. Praise God. Let everything in heaven be like it is. Let earth be like it is in heaven. You have the kingdom. You are the power. You are the glory. O God Almighty, I worship you and you alone. He likes that kind of thing. Followed up by, please don't destroy everything so that no life is here. Let something remain. Let a remnant survive for the righteous sake, the people that do worship you and do recognize that you are the power, that do want to follow you. Let them survive, please. Amen. That's it. That's how you talk to God. You want to know how to pray? Open your mouth. Tell him how you feel. That's it. You want to know something? He'll listen. Not only will he listen, he will abide. He will pay attention. He might even answer you. That's what you want, isn't it? After this, I saw another dream, and I will show the whole world. I will show the whole dream to thee, my son. Sorry, I've added world there. I saw whole and read world. I will show the whole dream to thee, my son. And Enoch lifted up his voice and spake to his son Methuselah to thee. My son, will I speak? Hear my words. Incline thy ear to the dream or vision of thy father. Before I took thy mother Edna, really? Her name was Edna? Come on. How come all the guys' names are like 90 consonants and 2 vowels? And all the girls' names are like Gail, Edna, Rebecca. I'm pretty sure there's a Jennifer in here or something. I'm just kidding. And before I took thy mother Edna, I saw in a vision on my bed, and behold, a bull came forth from the earth, and that bull was white. And after it came forth a heifer, and alongside it, with a ladder, came forth 2 bulls, and one of them black, and the other red. And the black bull gored the red one, and pursued him over the earth. And thereupon I could no longer see the red bull, but the black bull grew, and that heifer went with him. And I saw that many oxen proceeded forth from him, which resembled and followed him, his own children, I would imagine. And that cow, that first one, went from the presence of that first bull in order to seek the red one, but found him not, and lamented with a great lamentation over him and sought him. And I looked till that first bull came to her and quieted her. And from that time onward she cried no more. And after that she bore another white bull, and after him she bore many bulls and black cows. And I saw in my sleep that white bull likewise grow and become a great white bull. And from him proceeded many white bulls, and they resembled him. And they began to beget many white bulls, which resembled them, one following the other, even many. What do you think we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen? You got a black bull and a red bull and a bunch of white bulls. That's about true. Yep. And that is where I'm going to stop for today, because my voice is about to give out. And if I go any further, we're going to get into something heavy again. So let's stop right here and we'll pick up tomorrow night. Chapter 86, verse 1. Hang on. Man, that was fantastic. What did you think? Did you learn anything? Do you feel enlightened? Do you think this book is hitting on some stuff that sounds pretty familiar to you? Do you think there's some truth in it? Do you feel like it squares with what the Bible says? Have you heard anything that you feel was wrong or incorrect? Tell me what you think. Tell me how you feel. Tell me what kind of mindset this puts you in. But while you're thinking about it, would you do me a favor, please? Hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon so you get notifications when I'm going to be online. Smash that like button. It's free. It's effortless. It's right in front of you, and it really does help the channel with the algorithms. It helps us get recommended to other people. Won't you do that, please? Share this video with somebody you love. Better yet, share it with somebody you don't love. Bring them into the family. Make them part of the fold. Be part of their solutions, not part of their problems. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you're thinking about. Question me, curse me, bless me, challenge me, confront me, conform with me. Drink my Kool-Aid. Make your own Kool-Aid. Bring me a cup of coffee. And hey, if you love the Word of God and you can see the value in what I'm trying to build here and you'd like to help me build it, join the channel. Get yourself a J-tag. Buy a t-shirt. Leave a super chat in the chat box. But if you feel led to send your tithes, offerings, and love offerings to this humble ministry to help us grow, you can do that by going to paypal.me/jakejohnsonband, or if you're a Cash App user, $jakejohnsonband. Every little bit helps. It is a win-win. It's a blessing to me, but it's a blessing to you too. Why? Because our Father, God in heaven, notices when you take care of his own, and he responds. I will do everything in my power to be worthy of your support. I will answer every single one of your questions and answers you can understand. I will avail myself of you 24/7 every day, and that will not change. Now, I'm going to begin to do that right now. As soon as I light this cigarette. What did you think? Man, that got me excited a little bit. I do apologize. I get a little bit winded. Dodi Estes, welcome back. Long time no see. I hope you had a good Christmas and a happy New Year. How are you? And April says, hi, Jake. I love you too. Hi, April. I love you too. Long time no see. How you been? Amy says, hey, Dodi. Glad you made it. And Amanda says, Dodi, hamburger helper hand. Bill Bennett says, hello, UntetheredLive family. Happy birthday, Banhammer. And Amanda says, thank you, Bill. Hamburger helper hand. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. Amy says, hi, April and Bill. And hi, Kevin. And April says, hi, Amy. Heart. And everyone, I love you all. Smiley face with breasticles. And then my chat jumped. Hang on. Hang on. I'll find it. My band hammer's just getting back from fixing me a cup of coffee, so she can't tell me what the number is. I got to look for it. I think I found it. All right. Yep. Amy says the Rishak structure, the eye of the Sahara. Yes, the Rishak structure is what Plato was talking about when he spoke of the city of Atlantis, which once was very much underwater. Now is part of the Sahara Desert, which is post-flood. That happened after the flood. The Sahara Desert is not natural. It's a curse. We have deserts here, too. They don't look anything like those deserts. Amy says, hi, Mabel and Debbie. Mabel says, did you know that wind blows dust from the Sahara over the sea to the Amazon, where it fertilizes the rainforests? It is an unbelievable thing to learn about, but very, very interesting. Yes, I did know that. Some of it fertilizes. Basically, what the Sahara Desert is crystalline sand, and that doesn't fertilize anything. But there are salts and minerals that compile around the edges, which blow in the sand across the ocean in the Gulf Stream, and it does fertilize that area, and it's meant to. God is fascinating. I want you to think about this, Mabel. There is not one thing, animal or object on planet Earth, or indeed anywhere in the universe, not one single solitary cell that doesn't require something else to survive. Every single thing that God created is a symbiotic relationship with something else. Everything. Everything needs to eat everything else. Everything has to come from everything else. Everything is a part of everything else. You realize that there is absolutely no new water on planet Earth. Every drop of water that is on Earth has been here since the beginning, since God created it. Yes, that means you're 100% drinking my pee right now. 100%. No way around it. Water just reconstitutes. It just keeps going. But it's the same water. There's no new sand either. It's all been here the whole time. Which is why I laugh when scientists talk about the age of rocks. All rocks are the same age. All of them. No matter how far down you dig, no matter how deep in the volcano they came, they're all the same age. They were all created at the same time. Where do these layers come from, you reckon? Outer space? But yeah, it's fascinating. And it's interesting that you point that out. And thank you. Technically, there are 7 layers to the sun, says Mabel. So this is very interesting. Yes, ma'am. Amy says a moon cycle is 30 days. Sometimes, according to that, it has different variances depending on what it's doing and where it's at in the sky. The whole cycle is 30 days. You're right about that. But it goes through phases. And according to this book, you can break it up into phases and they will be equal all throughout the year. Amy says, so this makes sense. Blue cheese. The blue spots on the moon is blue cheese. It's something. It might be blue cheese. It very well could be. You might be onto something there. Get with Eric Dubé and get back with me about that. Amanda says the blue spots on the moon is moon farts to go along with star glitter. LOL. Silly. What it is says MOON. That spells moon. Yes, it does. Got a nuclear bomb anywhere? This ain't to stand what it is. And what it is says all this info is coming from a goat farmer. Yes. Every bit of it. Actually, I don't know what Methuselah did for a living. I'm guessing he was old from the day he was born. He seems like an old man that lives up in a hill somewhere that, you know, casts out wise berries every now and then. But Enoch pretty much was a goat farmer, yeah. Pretty smart goat farmer, huh? I don't even know if you can farm goats. How do you plant them? A goat farmer. What it is says Methuselah. Mm-hmm. Don't say it 3 times, though. He'll appear, and it's kind of scary. Mabel says, without the moon, we would have been taken out by meteors and asteroids 1,000 times over. Actually, it's Jupiter that does that. If you'll look at the moon, if you look really closely, all of the asteroid craters are facing the Earth. I don't know if you noticed that or not. Take a good look. They're all facing the Earth, and they're all shallow. They're not deep. They're all the same depth exactly. What does that mean? That means it came from Earth. My guess is, this is a guess, I can't prove it, that when the fountains of the deep broke open, you're talking about 10 miles of solid rock sitting on top of water. And when the earth cracked open, the water came out and all that rock sank down to the bottom of the cavern that the water was once in, pushing the water out so fast and so viciously that it would have cast itself into outer space and then rained back down. Well, all the rocks that went out with that blast, I would guess, hit the moon as they flew out. I don't know that to be true, but that's my guess. But we've already seen Jupiter do its thing quite a few times, actually. The last time we saw it was in 1995 when Halley comet whipped around through our solar system, and instead of whipping around the sun, it went a little too close to Jupiter, and Jupiter got him. 3 big impacts on Jupiter. Halley's Comet is no more. So we'll never see that one again. Hale Bop, I think it was called. Anyway, you're right. All of these things in our solar system are there to balance out the solar system, to cause gravity in the solar system, and to protect the Earth from the solar system. That's why they're there, including the moon. All right. Methuselah's son was Lamech, who in turn became the father of Noah. Got it. So there was a guy in between Methuselah and, Methuselah is Noah's grandfather. Who is Enoch to them two? He's either their father or their grandfather. He's in there somewhere, though. Enoch was 7th from Adam, so he can't be too far. Debbie says, I am staying upwind in the boat, is all I know. Yeah. You better believe it. Where Enoch fits in the family of Noah and Methuselah and Lamech. So it goes Noah, Lamech, Methuselah, Enoch, I think. I think Enoch is Methuselah's daddy. Is that right? What it is says Jake just said what it is. Or what is it? That it? What is it? What is it? I don't know what it is. What it is. What it is says, getting spiritually fed. All right. So it goes from Seth. Adam and Eve had Cain and Abel. Cain killed Abel and then fled out into the wilderness. So they had another son named Seth. And from that comes Jesus Christ. That's the bloodline to Jesus Christ. So it goes Seth, Enos, Canaan, not Canaan as in the place. Canaan as in Kenan, Kenan. then Mahalaleel, which is Jared's father, and then Enoch. So Jared is Enoch's father. Enoch is Methuselah's father. Methuselah is Lamech's father. And Lamech is Noah's father. And then Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Thank Debbie for that map.
Thank you, Debbie, for that map. That's beautiful. Appreciate that. I get details like that get twisted up in my mind. I know so many names and so many people and so many things that I'm tracking, and I just get twisted up, and it's hard to call it up when I'm running and gunning like this. It really would help if I had these things posted all over the wall so I could just glance at it and say the thing without sounding stupid. I sound stupid a lot. I apologize for that. I'm trying, though. I'm trying to sound intelligent enough to teach this stuff. What it is says, getting spiritually fed. That's right. Bill Bennett says, well said. Time is now. Live the moment. You better live that moment right towards God, because if you don't, you're going to miss out. And what it is says, humble yourself, meaning get out of your own way, or get out of yourself, right? Yeah, you got to get out of your own way. You can't think that you're the bee's knees or the be-all, end-all of all things. You got to know that you are not the star of the show. You're a bit part player in the production. And when it's your turn, you can shine, but somebody else is the lead player here. It's not you. And if you can recognize that, you can humble yourself and realize that it's the meek that will inherit the earth, not the boastful. Humble yourself before God. Come to him as a child. You don't have any ideas. You're not trying to make any demands or decisions. Just be willing to be led. That's what he wants. Just be willing to do what he tells you to do. Let him feed you. Let him cover you. Shabbat, that protection, the covering of God. If you'll do that, he will provide for you every day. Ask me how I know. That's all he wants from you. That's it. Consider the sparrow what it is. It doesn't work for anything. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't require anything. It doesn't have any goals. It sings and it builds a little nest. That's it. It lays eggs. Yet every day God feeds that bird and covers it and protects it from the elements and from the other animals until it's its time. It's the circle of life and all, but every day God covers that little bird. How much more valuable do you think you are to him than that bird? I mean, look at all the trouble he went through for you to be in existence. Mankind, to exist. He went through a lot. You are way more valuable than that bird. How much more do you think he'll do for you than that bird? If you'll just come to him as a child and submit. But you have to submit. You can't come with demands. You can't come with questions and anger and spite. You got to be humble, and you got to say, I'm here, Lord. Use me as you see fit. If you'll just do that, he'll provide for you every day, I promise. Ask me how I know. Lady B says, happy birthday, Amanda. Just popping in to give you birthday blessings. God bless. Good night. Hey, Lady B. Bye, Lady B. Amanda says, intercalate. It's the same word as interpolate. I told you. Intercalary is the same word as calendar. It's a period in a calendar. Yes, I understand. But interpolate is not in the Bible. I made that word up. Well, I didn't make it up. Spock made it up when he did Star Trek. He used the word interpolate, which is not a word. It is now, but it wasn't before he said it. It's two words pushed together. It's extrapolate and then interpret. Put together. Interpolate. So intercalary reminded me of that. So I said intercalary. I put the syllable in the wrong emphasis. Amanda says, Lady Hamburger Helper Hand, thank you. And Lady B says, you're very welcome. Prayers. And Amanda says he doesn't call him Bob because he knew he would get a kick out of you trying to say all these names. Yeah. I think that's what God meant when he said, make a joyful noise unto the Lord. Here, try to pronounce these. They don't have TV in heaven, so they got to do something for entertainment, I would imagine. What it is says, making Jake use his pronouncing words and names that are not every day what he's used to hearing or seeing or saying. Linda Davis is in the house. She says, happy birthday, Amanda. Balloons, cakes, and hearts. Hi, Linda. How's your day? Amy says, hi, Lady B. Hi, Lady B. Hi, Linda. And Amanda says, Linda, Hamburger Helper Hand, and thank you. April says, hi, Linda, love, heart. And amen, prayers, and yes. And Amanda says, and always thank God in your prayers. Always. Always give thanks to the Father. Always give obeisance to the Father. Always give praise to the Father. Always. Always recognize his kingdom coming. And give him the glory forever. But in that, you can then ask for being led out of temptation and forgiveness and that sort of thing. And the strength to do the same for others, which is all in the Lord's Prayer. Do unto others. All of it's there. April says, amen, prayers, Amanda. And what it is says, oh, yeah, I've seen answered prayers, as have I. I've seen answered prayers in the negative also. Some people call them unanswered prayers. I call them answered prayers, but the answer was no. And God does say no sometimes. He knows things we don't. Amanda says, me too, what it is. What it is says, could have been. Don't look, Ethel. Don't look, Ethel. He's Nickhead. Edna. Can you believe there's an Edna in the Bible? That blew my mind. Like, really? I just went through all that and now her name is Edna. Amanda says, LOL, what it is, smiley face. April says, right on, thumbs up. Me to God is great. I love this. I think you meant me too, comma. God is great. I love this. I do too. Amanda says, great read, Jake. Thank you. Thank you. And happy birthday. I hope you enjoyed it. Kevin says, good read, Jake. Just a good one? Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here. April says, woohoo, Jake. Awesome. Heart. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here, too. Fab Daddy, what's up, buddy? Fab Daddy says, happy birthday, Banhammer. Thanks for being here, Fab. How you doing, buddy? Kevin says, when speaking about the brightness of the moon, I was thinking the brighter the moon, the less the stars we can see. This is true. If you'll think about our atmosphere is made up of gas, which is basically a different state of water. Water comes in 3 or 4 states, right? 3 actual states and 1 hyperstate. So liquid, gas, ice, steam, or plasma, however you want to look at it. Point is the earth is full of water. So when you look through it, you're like looking through droplets of water. Then you got the atmosphere, which the sun pushes light through, makes the atmosphere act as a magnifying glass. If you've ever seen the moon outside of the atmosphere, it looks like a potato. It's actually kind of unimpressive. I got a video somewhere. I'll show it to you one day. It's kind of weird because it doesn't look like that. It looks to us, it doesn't look like that outside the atmosphere. You'd miss it if you were outside the atmosphere. You wouldn't even see it. And if you saw it, you'd be like, what's that? It's the moon. It looks like a potato out in space. But our atmosphere magnifies it, so we see it like the big moon. If you think I'm wrong about that, the next time there's a big moon in the sky, you look out and it looks like it's hanging it real low in the sky and it's that big, take your phone and take a picture of it. Look at the picture. And when you realize that it is not that big, it's that big, and you just see it that way, then you'll understand it's the atmosphere that causes that. It's an optical illusion. But because of that, the light from the moon reflects back and hits the atmosphere, lights the atmosphere up, and dims our eyes from being able to see the stars behind it. It's like an f-stop on a camera, and it works like that. The brightness of the moon juxtaposition to the brightness of the stars, our eyes can't see the stars behind the brightness of the moon. So you are right about that. What it is says, yeah, it was good to hear it. Thank you. Thank you very much, What It Is. Kevin says, hang on, my chat jumped. Kevin says, it was also confirmed that Enoch was retired to Earth to tell his story to us. He was, but he left again afterwards. We hadn't got that far yet, but he's going to leave with God after he's done. But he was taken up first, shown everything, and then brought back to tell everybody. And then later on in his life, they came and got him and took him with him. So we'll see that as we go on. April says, amen, prayers. Kevin says, Jake's pee. That's why I dilute the water with coffee. There you go. Well, don't feel bad. You're drinking yours too. Fab Daddy says, we just got water from asteroid bombardment. That's new water. Wrong. Incorrect. That has not happened. And I can prove it. First of all, no asteroid of any size is ever going to hit the Earth because it'll blow up in the atmosphere before it hits the ground. Only small asteroids can make it through the atmosphere to hit the ground. They're not bringing any water. So, when a big asteroid comes in, the friction of its speed hits the friction of our atmosphere, heats it up, and blows it up before it makes it to the ground. Look around you. It would take a super big asteroid like the one that hit Chit-Chat Canyon there in wherever it is down there in South America. Can't remember the place. Chit-Chat something or other. Anyway, it'd take a really big one to actually hit the ground and do damage. And that ain't bringing no water either because it's super hot by the time it hits the ground and probably molten. So the base it's going to do is sink in. That's it. It ain't bringing water. I'm sorry. That's just incorrect. That's not how dirt works. Amanda says, Fab Daddy, hamburger upper hand. And there is no new water, I promise. Amanda says, LOL, Kevin. Smiley face. April says, Fab, good to see you, vibrating heart. Fab says, same, April. April says, LOL, that's funny. And Debbie says, me too, Kevin, and add sugar so it's not so salty. Ew, gross. Yuck. April says, Debbie, smiley face. Kevin says, Debbie, LOL. Amanda says, LOL, Debbie. Patty says, thank you, Miss Amanda, and happy birthday. And thank you, Jake. Good night to you. Well, why are you leaving so soon for, Patty? We're just getting to talk to each other now. I love you, honey, and thank you for being here. Have a good night. Amanda says, good night, Patty. Thanks. And Fab Daddy says, it was Shoemaker Levy comet that crashed into Jupiter. Yes. But it was part of the Haley Bop thing, I'm pretty sure. Haley's comet will return. Okay. Well, I might have it backwards. That's not really important, though. What's important is that the comet hit Jupiter. That's the point I was getting at. I might have it backwards, though. I have to go back and look. It's been a while. I mean, we're talking about 1995. I'm lucky I even remember that it happened. Bill Bennett says, good night, all. Love you guys. Prayers and sweet dreams. Bill, thank you for being here, brother. God bless you. Kevin says, Fab Daddy, the water from the asteroid may have been new to Earth, but it was as old as the universe. Well, my point is if there, first of all, let's get one thing straight right now. There is no Oort cloud. That's a lie. It doesn't exist. We have the James Webb Telescope. If it was out there, we'd see it. It's not out there. Promise. Second of all, if there is water in space in a rock, it came from Earth in the first place. So it's just returning back to where it came from if it does hit the Earth and makes it this far. Third of all, any asteroid that hits this planet is going to be molten by the time it hits the ground. There is no water in it, I promise. It will evaporate before it hits the ground. That's just not true. That's not how asteroids work. It also ain't going to kick up dust and turn the whole planet into Fireball like it did in that movie. You know the one, the asteroid movie. That's not how that works. That is a fear tactic that you see on the Discovery Channel. That's not real. Real asteroids hit the ground all the time. 4 or 5 of them a year. Probably even more. And they don't even kick up dust. You don't even feel them. You don't even know they happened most of the time. There was one in 1908 that got pretty close to the ground, but it never touched the ground, but it knocked down about 90 miles of trees in Russia, over there in Siberia somewhere. I forget the exact place, but it knocked down trees for like 90 miles. Didn't burn them, just knocked them down. Didn't leave a hole. Didn't leave any debris. It just made an explosion, scared the bejesus out of everybody, and knocked a bunch of trees down, busted out some windows. Amanda says, good night, Bill. And Amanda says, the comet Hale-Bopp, C 1995-01, was a famous comet discovered in 1995 that became one of the most widely observed comets of the 20th century, visible to the naked eye for 18 months in 96. In 97, known as the Great Comet of 97, it was exceptionally bright due to its large nucleus, estimated to be 25 to 37 miles wide, and displayed 2 distinct tails, and a blue ion tail and a white dust tail. Its passage was notable for its spectacular visibility and for being associated with the Heaven's Gate cult, mass suicide in March of 97, who believed it was a spacecraft following it. Yes. And that may be what I was thinking about when I got it confused with the other one. Fab Daddy says, isn't that the comet we used aerogel to capture the tail? Probably so, yeah. I think you're right. I think you're right about that. April says, amen, prayers. And April says, that's right, heart. Fab Daddy says, Heaven's Gate and Nike shoes. Yeah, you remember that creepy guy? Did you ever see that guy? That guy was weird. Let me tell you what, I listened to a couple of his videos. Strange fella. Anyway, I listened to some of the Mooney stuff too, and the Marishna Hargitay's. All right, where am I at? Oh, I found it. Judy says, hi, everybody. Hi, Judy. April says, LOL. How you doing, Judy? Kevin says, hamburger helper hand, Judy. Amanda says, Judy, hamburger helper hand. Judy says, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Amanda. Happy birthday to you. Oh. And Judy says, hey, Kevin. Amanda says, thank you, Judy. Judy says, hey, Amanda and Jake. Hi, nice to see you. How are you? Did you enjoy the read? Judy says, you're welcome. Amanda says, Chicxulub Canyon. Chicxulub Canyon is a mishearing of Chicxulub Crater. Well, that's what I said, the Chicxulub Crater. Or that's what I meant to say. the massive impact site in Mexico from an asteroid that struck the Earth. That's the one I was talking about. Fab Daddy says, reread that. I said asteroid Bennu. We captured part of it and returned it. Oh. Well, I guess so, but that ain't water. That's ice. Ice that's hard as steel, probably. Okay. That's the problem with little details of information that you pull out of the past. You got to be sure that you're connecting the dots because you might be wrong, like I was a minute ago. Amanda says, Comet Shoemaker-Levy 9 was a comet that broke into 20 fragments after a close pass with Jupiter in 92. Yeah, you're right about that. And these fragments then collided with Jupiter between July 16 and 22 of 1994. In the first direct observation of the planetary impact, the impacts created massive fireballs and dark scars in Jupiter's atmosphere and provided scientists with unprecedented data on Jupiter's composition. And I was watching every second of it when it happened. But I did get it twisted with the other comet that was from that period of time. But nonetheless, what was important was that Jupiter collected the comet instead of it hitting us. And it does that. It's done it a few times, and that's why they're out there. And Saturn is a gas station for when we get out that far. Don't believe me? Go to Titan. See what you find. But if you do, I wouldn't recommend being an atheist. Because if you are, you got a very serious question to answer when you get there about fossil fuels and global warming. So don't be a Democrat. Amanda says, I read that one. And the effects of the cosmic collisions and highlights Jupiter's role in protecting the inner solar system from such impacts. Yes. And all of the planets are designed in such a way and are in such a position that just about nothing can get through to the Earth. And it has to be very, very clever to get here. And once it gets here, there's several things in our favor with our atmosphere that'll keep it from hurting us when it's coming in. It has to hit exactly right, at exactly the right angle to even make it to the ground. If it hits at any kind of angle, it'll burn up like a shooting star, and it'll never even enter the atmosphere. It'll bounce right off of it. But if it hits just right, it'll dig in, but it's like pushing your hand down into dirt. The more it pushes, the harder the atmosphere will resist against it because it's pushing against something that doesn't move very easily, and it'll heat it up and melt it before it ever gets to the ground. So it has to be super, super big and super, super accurate to even hit the Earth. It's not a thing that's likely to happen. My guess is if it happened before, God threw it at us. That's probably why it made it. There are a few things that happened in the past that would require a severe shaking of the earth to accomplish, such as Joshua's long day, a 48-hour day. That means the earth had to stop spinning for a little while. That's the only way that could happen. There's no other way to keep it daylight for that long. Or the sun had to be pushed back a little bit. One. I don't see that happening. So it could be that an asteroid hit the Earth and caused it to skip backwards a little bit and keep the daylight being on the other side of the planet longer. Could be that. Also, you got the parting of the Red Sea. You've got the ground opening up, swallowing the Israelites in the desert. There's quite a few things that require a shaking of the Earth to accomplish that could have been caused by asteroid strikes. Extra biblically, you've got the sinking of Atlantis, the explosion of Santorini. That could have been accomplished by a tsunami. You know, everything God does has a scientifically accurate reason why it happened. The parting of the Red Sea had to happen, so something caused that. A tsunami draws the waters out before it pushes it back in. That's what it sounded like to me. Debbie says, this is going to sound stupid. Never. There's no such thing as a stupid question. If you're asking questions, that means you're thinking. That's not stupid. But I was under the impression that the book of Enoch was fiction. It's not fiction. No, ma'am. But now I am thinking it is nonfiction. So which is it? It is biblical. It's extra biblical. This is a serious history book. This was written down for real by a real man. And it used to be part of the Bible. Now, Constantine had it taken out of the Bible. I think it was Constantine. It might have been somebody else at the Council of Nicaea. And the reason they did that was because they wanted everybody to agree on what the Bible is, because at that time everybody had their own version of the Bible, and nobody was getting anywhere. They wanted to make canon, which is everybody has the same Bible. And so they agreed on the salvation narrative of Jesus. And anything that didn't fit the salvation narrative, they took out. So now we have the new Bible, which is just about the salvation. Anything that got weird, they took it out. So there you go. But no, it's not fiction. It's very real. Now, you can argue whether or not it's true, but it is real. It was written by men. And they claim to be telling the truth. And so far, everything I've read sounds true. It's logical. So, to that, I would tell you, if it squares with the Bible, then it's true. If it don't square with the Bible, put it on a shelf. It's not true. It's got to agree with the Bible, or it's not true. Amanda says 101955 Bennu is carbon-rich B-type asteroid about half a kilometer wide, discovered in 1999, and is the target of NASA's OSIRIS-REx mission, which returns samples to Earth. It is potentially hazardous object with a small chance of impacting the Earth in the late 22nd century. But its primitive composition makes it a valuable source of study for the early solar system and the origins of life. It's just a rock in space, as far as I can tell. I don't know what they hope to learn from it. Amanda says, as it contains water-bearing minerals and organic compounds like amino acids. Ah, that's what they were trying to get out of it. They're trying to, is it Mickelson-Morley, or are those the guys that did the balls and suspension? I think it's Mickelson-Morley that did created the amino acids in an Earth-like condition, except they didn't have any oxygen and they used vinegar as a source. And they couldn't stop it from iodizing, turn into rust, and they couldn't make left-handed amino acids. They only made right-handed amino acids that were kind of retarded. Yeah, they didn't create life. Water-bearing minerals does not mean it has water in it. It means it has water-bearing minerals and organic compounds like amino acids. Sludge, as it were. Fab Daddy says, Debbie, that's an excellent question. Yeah, it is. And the answer is, it's 100% real. I don't know if it's right, but it's 100% real. Amanda says that's absolutely nonfiction. And think about all it has matched the Bible so far. This is true. And so far, everything I've read is pretty much squares with what the Bible says. There's a few things that are worded different or might use different meanings of things, but it's talking about the same things. I can point in the Bible where it talks about that very thing. So far, at least 3 books in, I'd say it's pretty Bible accurate. Fab Daddy says a supernova could explain an elongated day. If it happened really close, it could, but we'd still see evidence of it happening, and we don't. So that's the thing. We can account for about 30 supernovas every 100 years. If I got my numbers right, I think that's right. There's just not enough supernovas out there to explain billions of years, and also not any that are close enough that could have lit up the sky enough to make a long day. The only way I've ever figured that it could happen is if the Earth either stopped turning or was twisted backwards a little bit on its axis. That's it. Or maybe if something hit it and it just stopped for a second and then started again. I don't know. But I don't think there's anything. I suppose an asteroid could have hit the sun and solar flares could have took off for a while. I don't know. I don't think that's logical. Logically, things do hit the Earth occasionally. So I'm guessing that's probably what it was. But yeah, a supernova, if it was close enough, it could, but we'd see evidence of it. Debbie says, that is the gist of my question, Amanda. I was under the impression it was fiction. It's not fiction. Kevin says, Debbie, we have to decide if faith is fiction or nonfiction. To some degree, that's correct. There are some things in the Bible, I wouldn't call it fiction. I would just call it something you can't prove, right? You can't prove a negative, and you can't prove something that you can't touch or see. So I wouldn't say that's fiction because it might be true. And it probably is. I mean, look at the universe. So I guess what Kevin's saying is actually correct. You have to decide whether or not you believe it to be true. Have faith in it. But the fact that it was written down is real, and the things they were talking about are real, and all of the details they put in it are real. The only thing that we can't say is real are the things we can't prove, which concern God. Everything else is real. So if everything else is real, why not that little bit more real also? And Kevin says, Debbie, choose wisely. Eternity is a long time. Yes. That's very wise to say. It is your choice ultimately, but you better make a good choice because you're going to live with it forever, whatever that choice is. Aaron, what's up, brother? How you doing? Debbie says, Kevin, you are making my head hurt. Kevin says, if you believe in God, then you have to believe God created the universe. And if you don't, perhaps you can explain to me where the universe came from. Amen. Aaron says, I made it. Nice to see you, buddy. How you doing? Kevin says, Aaron. Amanda says, Aaron, hamburger helper hand. Aaron says, my bad, I'm late. Man. April says, I agree. And Kevin says, what's happening? Amanda says, it's all good. You're here now. That's what matters. Aaron says, hi, everyone. Special hello to the host. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Special hello back to you. Happy birthday, Amanda. Judy says, hey, Aaron, I was late too. Debbie says, I was under the impression that the book of Enoch was along the same lines as mythological books. Well, here's an interesting thing, Debbie. The only people in the world that call mythology is us in the West. They call it history because it, to them, is history. So in Greece, in Helena, they don't call Greek mythology mythological. They call it history. We call it myth because we lead by scientists who have decided in the 1800s to remove God from academia, so that we've labeled certain things mythology. Nobody else, like the Norse, don't call their deities mythological. They call them gods because they believe it's true. And in some aspects, it is true. Mythology is a word that we invented that confuses a lot of people because there are things that actually occurred on planet Earth with actual deities or beings from the spiritual realm that we now call demigods or whatever, Kronos or Colossus or whatever we call them, Hercules. But these things were real in their day. They occurred. The Bible calls them men of renown, men of old, giants in the earth in those days. That's the people they were talking about. So the word mythology is actually a little bit shifty. It's a little bit tricky. I don't like to use that word because in my mind it doesn't mean anything. Or it's an out and out lie to confuse you about what truth is. Because those things occurred, they just occurred in different places and it wasn't myth. April says, hey, Aaron, hugs and love, hearts and smiley faces with breasts. Aaron says, I played some basketball with a friend and hung out, and I never do that. Well, that's awesome. Did you enjoy yourself? Did you have fun? Mind Stretcher. What's up, Mind Stretcher? Hey, Dennis. He says, we talking about 3 days of darkness? No, we were talking about 2 days of light or 3 days of light. What was it? I think it was 48 hours, wasn't it? It might have been 3 days. The 3 days of Joshua, or the long day of Joshua, where he fought a battle all day and all night and all day and all night. But it was daylight the whole time. But there have been days of darkness, too. I think China recorded a couple of days of darkness once. Also, that long day thing happened at Fatima also. So it's happened more than once, is what I'm saying. Aaron says, April, good to see you. It's been a long time. It's been a long time since you rock and roll. Amanda says, Dennis, hamburger upper hand. Judy says, hey, Dennis. Dennis says, Amy. Hold on, my chat jumped. Dennis says, Amanda, Judy. April says, yes, it has. I'm still driving, but almost at Mom's. Amy says, Aaron. Dennis says, that was my question about 50 years ago. What was before said Big Bang? Well, I don't believe there was a Big Bang, unless you include that to mean God's voice when he said, let there be. I guess you could consider that a Big Bang. So before that, there was nothing. The absence of anything. The only thing that was there was God, according to what the book says. God created, which means before this thing that we call the universe was here, God was here, but nothing else was. It was just God. So I guess you could say the substrate of what the universe is in is God, if that makes any sense at all. It's a little bit big for my head, but that's what it sounds like to me. So God just existed forever. He is a being that lives in fourth dimensional space outside of time, space, and matter, which means he doesn't have a beginning or an end or physical edges or size or shape. He's outside of those dimensions. And that's something we cannot fathom because we are inside of those dimensions and we can only think in dimensional thinking. He is a non-dimensional thinking being. And then he created a dimensional space, a pocket in nothing. And inside of that pocket is everything that we know. If that makes any sense at all. Amy says, hi, Dennis. And April says, play Elizabeth, Jake. All right. and fireworks. People laugh, people flirt all night long. But I just stay. So I drove down to the local bar where people come in their fancy cars to play their games. But I just stay. Then I saw you sitting there all alone in that empty chair right next to you. I fell in love, oh baby. You looked down and you took my hand. You said, boy, I hope you understand that I'm not a girl that needs a man. I got my life and all my plans, and if you were there, you'd just be in my way. With just one kiss, I don't care what you say. I fell in love with you anyway. Oh, Elizabeth, you take my breath away. At that bar where we first met, you smiled at me and my palms got wet, and you just looked away. But I just stayed. You said, been in love and it never works. I always end up getting hurt, and I ain't doing that no more. There ain't no way. Oh no, 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 no. You stood up to say goodbye, grabbed your hand with a tear in my eye, and I just walked away. But you just stayed. But you looked down and you took my hand and said, boy, I hope you understand that I'm not a girl that needs a man. I got my life and all my plans, and if you were there, you'd just be in my way. Mabel, are you still here? Girl, it ain't gotta be like this. I'd give you everything but just one kiss, and I don't care what you say. I fell in love with you anyway. Oh, Elizabeth, you take my breath away. Alrighty then, there's a little bit of Elizabeth just for you, April. I hope you enjoyed that. Amanda says there's no such thing as the Big Bang. Amy says, The Big Bang was God creating everything, is how I've always looked at it. I've always kind of felt like scientists and me were saying the same thing when they say Big Bang and I say God said let there be. Kind of sounds like that to me because universe means singularly spoken phrase. Let there be. Universe. That's why we call it that. That's where it got its name, actually, from God saying let there be. That's why we call it universe. And it is the heavens that were created when he said let there be. All things were brought into existence with the twinkling of an eye. So, yeah, I don't think that's a big bang, but you call it whatever you want to. But to say that it happened by itself, that everything was squeezed down into the size of something, the period on a page, and then it expanded into all things that we see today is ridiculous. That's retarded. Just put God back in it and we're good. Now, all the rest of it, I'll agree with. Science, you can have that part. Anything beyond let there be, you can have. But to say it happened by itself out of nothing, what exploded? When did it explode? Where did it explode? You can't answer any of those questions. So put God back where he belongs and quit acting like you know everything. That's all I'm saying. Dennis says, Amy. Aaron says, did I say happy birthday? In more than one way, yes. Amanda says, thanks, Aaron. Amy says, working on Aaron's quilt and listening. Aw, Aaron's getting a quilt? Man. Mind Stretcher says, Jake, Dennis, nice to see you, buddy. How are you? Aaron says, I had fun and played good. I bet you did. There's a video on my YouTube somewhere that'll teach you just how good I play basketball. I mean, it's a sight to behold. Recommend you look at it if you hadn't seen it already. I implore you to never ask me to play basketball, though, because that's what you'll get if you do. Amy says, there's extra long times of daylight and night in Alaska. Yes, but there's a reason for that. It's because they are tilted towards the sun, and when the earth moves around, it doesn't actually go out of sight. So it stays daylight for 6 months, or night for 6 months. That's understandable, because of their latitude is what causes that. No, this was in the Middle East near the equator. It ain't supposed to stay daylight for 48 hours there. So it was special. Either the earth rolled over on its side or it stopped moving for a second. It's the only thing I can figure. Debbie says, okay, that makes sense, Jake. Thanks. My pleasure, ma'am. Being told it was a mythological book did confuse me, and now I know difference. Amen, sister. Aaron says, Amy, that quilt is way too nice for me. That quilt is made with love, Aaron. It's just right for you. And you're just good enough of a man to deserve such a quilt, so take it with pride. Dennis says, now for the big question, where did God come from? From here. God's always been here. Again, I answered that question a minute ago. God is outside of time, space, and matter. He lives in a dimensional area that is outside of the 3 dimensions that we live in, which is quite limited. Our dimensions, the 3 that we live in, have a beginning and an end, and everything is limited to that. God is outside of that. He created that inside of what he is. That means that he doesn't have a beginning or an end. He just simply is. I am that I am is what God said he was. Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I am all things. Where did he come from? Wherever he wanted to come from. The word from pales. It fails because there is no direction in which God came. He just is. Even our words can't describe what God is. This 3-pound brain that is in your head and mine cannot wrap our head around that kind of God. And if it could, that is not a God worthy of worship, is it? The God that I worship is outside of time, space, and matter and doesn't have a beginning or an end and is not something that I can wrap my head around and explain in 3 minutes or 5 minutes or an hour. You got a year, you got a lifetime, we might can discuss it or begin to. Otherwise, there are no words that will simply describe what God is to you. I have an inkling, but I can't really justify that as a knowledgeable standpoint. I have a hunch that I kind of understand the idea that approaches the notion of God. I'm not worthy to have that kind of thought. And neither are you. That's the difference between me and a scientist. I know that. He doesn't. He thinks that he is. He's not. April says, he just was. Right. He just is. Is. Always has been, always will be. There is no beginning nor end to God, nor direction from which he came. He is everywhere. He is all things at all once. And if he wasn't that, I wouldn't be worshiping him. April says, he just was. I read that one already. Amen, Jake. Thank you. Prayers. Kevin says, ask yourself this. Before the universe was created, how long did nothing exist? Forever. You know what eternity is? The Bible talks about the eternity that you're going to experience with God. Well, it goes both ways. He was here for an eternity also. That's forever. That means there is no end. And I can't begin to describe what that is to you because I don't understand a thing that has no end. But apparently infinity mathematically does exist, and you know that to be true because you're an atheist that believes in math. Right? So math exists, so you know that infinity exists. Well, that's what God is, infinity. Now, I'm not calling you an atheist. I'm using that as an example. All right. April says, nice. Woohoo, Amanda, birthday girl. Love you true. Hearts and smiley faces with herpes and breasts. And then a spinning world that looks like Venus. Or Neptune. Could be Neptune. Amanda says, didn't exist. God created everything. It didn't exist. God created everything. Right. Yeah, there is no it. There is no where. There is no when. Before God created us, there was nothing except God. You see, in our universe, there's no such thing as nothing. Scientists like to use that. Nothing exploded and then everything was there. Wrong, because even nothing has something in it. If you go into the vacuum of space, the vacuum, it's full of stuff. Particles and electrons and atoms and dust particles. That's not nothing. We use the word to describe it as nothing, but it isn't nothing. The word nothing is actually a misnomer. It does not exist in our universe. There's no place in our universe that has nothing in it. There never has been. The absence of anything is only outside of this universe. God came from a place where there was nothing. Nothing became something. And then when it decides to be destroyed, it will go back into nothing. That sounds a lot like you merging with your creator, does it not? Go watch some of the videos on my Facebook page. They explain that quite nicely. Debbie says, Dennis, God lives in another dimension and we are in his 10th grade science experiment. Sarcasm, yeah. We might be sitting in a marble on his desk or in a snow globe on his dresser. Ain't no telling. Every now and then he shakes it up, Puts it back down. April says, Debbie. Smiley. Kevin says, Amanda, my point is time did not exist before the universe. No, nothing existed before the universe. Time is part of the universe. It's literally part of space. Time and space are so closely related that they started using it as one word, space-time, with a hyphen, because they are the same thing. The further you get away from the center of gravity of the Earth, the slower time moves. So time is relative to the proximity of the center of gravity of the Earth. In space, time doesn't exist. So when you get out away from the Earth, time goes away. I mean, you can still keep it, but relative to what? There's no up, there's no down, because there's nothing to relate it to. So time is relative. It's the theory of special relativity. That's where we get the constant of the speed of light, and that's where we get E = mc squared. That's where we get all these wonderful mathematical equations that describe the Fibonacci secrets, and all of these other things come from the idea that time is relative to space. It's part of the same thing. God is outside of that. He created it. He's holding all of it in his hands like a ball. If you can picture that. It's very easy to understand if you can picture that. Debbie says, I will let Amanda win because it's her birthday. Are you guys fighting? What are we arguing about? April says, love this song. Thank you. I appreciate it. I love it too. Kevin says, as humans, we cannot conceive outside of time. Correct. Yeah, and if we could, that's not a God I'd want to worship. I want one that blows my mind. Amanda says, LOL, Debbie. Oh, no, heart. Oh, win that. I got you. Aaron says, oh, no. Aaron says, ha-ha. And Amanda says, yes, still the champ. I think you would claim you won even if you didn't. April says, yeah, heart. Dennis says, agree to disagree on that, Kevin. On what? That time is inside of our universe? How can you disagree with that? That's correct, factually. Aaron says, nope. And Aaron says, shows I won, hee hee. Kevin says, Dennis, please explain. Now, what are you disagreeing with exactly, Dennis? April says, sounds so good, Jake. Hearts and lightning bolts and smiley face with herpes and hands waving all over the place. Thank you, April. I appreciate that. You are quite the cheerleader. Aaron says, but Amanda is the champ and the birthday band hammer. Amen. Quite the band hammer, too. And quite the lasagna cook. See, I made dinner for her this afternoon. I put my best man on it. Kevin says, Dennis, if you have a different thought, I would like to hear it. Aaron says, champ. Amanda says, thumbs up. April says, bravo, I did enjoy. Thanks, love. Thank you. Thank you for liking my song. Means a lot. Mabel, are you still here? You ain't said nothing in a while. Mabel. Did you pass out on a dog? Dennis says, I'm saying no one can tell me what I can conceive. If the thought works for you, that's okay, but for me, it just doesn't fit. What doesn't fit? What are you saying doesn't fit? And I will explain it to you in a way that you can understand it. Are you saying that you can conceive of something outside of time, space, and matter? Because I can, and I assure you, time, space, and matter has a finite space. The universe is not infinite. You ask any scientist that's above your head, and they will tell you the universe is not infinite. It has a definite end point. We just can't see it right now, but we know it's there. That means there's something outside of that. That would be God. God is in all the spaces that you can't understand, infinitesimal, far-reaching across the universe, the unknowable, the undesirable, the unimaginable. Only we call it God because that's too many words to fit on the back of a quarter. Aaron says, did you have a good birthday, Amanda? Amanda? Kevin says, can you explain what existed before time? And Debbie says, no Big Bang. That's not what Amanda said last night. Ha ha. Wow, chicka, wow, wow. Amanda says, yes, I did. Thanks, Aaron. And Amanda says, LOL, Debbie. Aaron says, good. It was a good day. Thank you. Hold on, my chat jumped again. I got it. April says, LOL. Dennis says, no, but I can conceive of a timeless if you can picture it in a frame of mind, or in the frame of mind, like a wheel, where you are on that wheel, time is moving faster or slower. I can picture a wheel. I can also picture what's outside of the wheel. And yes, in the wheel, time is moving fast or slow. But before the wheel was there was no time. There was no space. There was no matter. There was nothing tangible anywhere, ever, except for God. Then he said, let there be stuff, and there was the wheel. When that wheel began, that's when time and matter and dimensional stuff started happening. Until then, all you have to do is look at the second law of thermodynamics, and it will clearly state to you that everything tends towards chaos. Everything has an ending. Everything. Which means, logically, everything has a beginning. That's the reverse of that. So if everything tends towards chaos because of time, breaks everything down, makes it go away, then it had to start somewhere. That process had to start because every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Time, space, and matter causes everything to disintegrate into nothingness. Like when you die, an atheist would think that there is no more after that. Well, that breaks the first law, that energy can't be created or dismantled. It only turns into a different kind of energy. Ergo, when you die, your matter transmogrifies into some other kind of energy and keeps on living somewhere else, doing something else, but is still here. The essence is still here. Before God said, let there be stuff, there was no essence. There was no anything. Then, all of a sudden, there was. And then he started putting stuff in certain places. Let there be an earth, separate it from the waters. Put the stars there also. Let's fill up the earth with stuff. So all of that is in this little pocket called our universe. And one day, it's going to go away. But we'll still be here because you can't destroy what's already been created. You can only turn it into a different kind of energy. That's where God comes in. We'll all be with God forever. If you can't see that, then you can't break your own thoughts down to their nth degree because that's where it leads. In every way you try, that's where it ends up. That's the last thought that you can have on the subject, is God. See, no matter what question you ask, you can always ask another question. But what about? But what if? But what? God. But what happened before God? God. But what happened before that? God. That's the end of the questioning. You can't go past that. You can fill up all this with different questions, different answers. But the end of those answers is God. There is nowhere else to go but there. That's irreducible complexity. You can't get any simpler than that. You can't get any less based than that. You can't get any smaller than that. God. That's the end of the thought. You can disagree if you like, but you will be sadly mistaken when you see that I'm right. Mind Stretcher says, depending on where you are on the wheel, the closer to the center or the slower it goes, the center not moving. You're just talking about our solar system. Yeah, that's how time works. The closer you get to the center, the faster it goes. That's the speed of light and all of that stuff. But there's something outside of that. You can break that down to more complex questions and more simple answers. Kevin says, can you comprehend anything that exists outside of time? Mind Stretcher says, yes. Kevin says, what would that be? Obviously, God. That's correct. My point is that is the end of the thought process. You can't go any further than that, which is the answer to the question, where did God come from at the beginning of thought? There's nothing beyond that. And Kevin says, thank you. Now we agree. Dennis says, this is why I don't like talking, because it's like an argument. We're not arguing, we're discussing. What you're trying to say, Dennis, is that you don't like being wrong. That's why you don't like talking. Let that go. We're all wrong. We're all stretching to try and understand this thing that we call God. None of us have the answer. None of us. And nor will we until we are facing him. But we all are trying to understand it. The first step to wisdom is admitting that you don't know anything. That's the part you're having a problem with, and that's understandable. I have that problem too. However, you got to make that concession if you want to begin to understand God, because he's way bigger than any of us. April says, amen, he just is. And Kevin says, I think we argue the same point, though. Dennis says, and Jake gets smarmy. Dude, that's who I am. Sorry. I might get smarmy, but I'm right. Amy says, God exists before he created the universe. My question is, did the angels that controlled other aspects exist with him before he created it? Shortly before. God created the host first. And then he created the earth. Remember when he said, let us make man in our image? Who do you think he was talking to? The host. The host is all Elohim, all spiritual beings. That's your soul, my soul, the angels' souls, the other critters that are in heaven's souls, Jesus' soul. All things were created by God in the beginning. The host. The host is the Elohim. The word Elohim is a plural word, and it means multiple spiritual being. That's what the word means. All spiritual beings are Elohim, including God. He's an Elohim also. But only one Elohim is God, if that makes any sense. But they're all spiritual beings. And yes, they were there at the beginning, before the creation of the earth, but only slightly. Forever, there was just God, according to the Bible. Now, I don't know if all of forever was like that. Maybe he came from somewhere else. Maybe there's a whole host of gods. I don't know. Our Bible does not cover that. And nor do I think that has anything to do with us if it did happen. At this point, there's only God and his creation. And Jake gets smarmy. Jake does get smarmy. I'll give you that. I'm an entertainer. I'm a face on TV. If I didn't get smarmy, what would I be? Would you rather me be dull and boring and mute? Would you rather me be monotone and just say everything in the same tone of voice like that guy on the Shepherd's Chapel now? Would that be easier for you to digest? Would it occur to you that if I piss you off every now and then, you'd remember what I'm saying better? Think about it more. Mull it over. Be angry about it until you realize that I'm right. It occur to you that it's a tactic, it's a tool. Yeah, I get smarmy. And you're still watching me. Why? I hope you keep doing it. But I'm just asking, don't answer me. Answer yourself. Why? Amy says, God existed before he created the universe. I read that one already. Sorry, Amy. April says, no argument. And Amanda says, no, Dennis. We talk it out and try to understand each other's point of view. This is how you learn. Listen and learn. Aaron's like that part. Amanda says, learn and listen. And we can all learn from each other. And Dennis says, and I guess I should just sit and not speak. No. Why do you keep doing that? I could just shake you sometimes.
He wants you to please stop picking on him.
You want me to please stop picking on you? Is that what it is? You can't take the heat?
We agree to disagree. He was talking to Kevin, not you.
I don't care. You're in my show. Every word you say concerns me. I'm reading the chat. That means everything you say, I'm going to respond to it like you're talking to me, even if you're talking to Kevin. If you would like to exclude me from the conversation, you can diddy-bop your ass down the road. This is my show. How about that? However, in the interest of being pleasant, I'll just say this. If you didn't come here to learn, you're in the wrong place. If you came here to be right, you're in the wrong place. If you came here to show me how smart you are, you're in the wrong place. I'm not looking for smart people. I'm looking for people who want to be smart, not people who think they already are. That's what I want to be when I grow up. But nobody ever told you to sit and be quiet. I want your input. I want your opinion. That's what makes this show special. You have a say. And I get to combat that say or agree with it. And everybody that's listening gets to learn from our interchange. You understand how that works? You're part of a bigger thing. You're not the only person here. I love you, Dennis. I want you to be here. I want you to interact with us. But you are never going to be the special little boy that you think you are. You don't have big boy pants and a lollipop. You're a regular human being like everybody else. And in this room, I'm the teacher. If you can't handle that, you're in the wrong place. Kevin says, if God exists outside of time, can God see all of time? Yes. Like the universe, looking at the smallest particle in the universe and more, yes. God can see all of time, space, and matter because he's standing outside of it. He can see the beginning and the end of it because he put it there. He can turn it around and look at its inner parts. Think of God as a giant holding a little ball, and the little ball is everything. And that's absolutely right. See, I'm not just telling everybody they're wrong. When they're right, they're right. That's how we learn. And now everybody heard that, and they learn and can think about it and mull it over and compare it to what they've thought. This is called discourse, and it's good for the brain. Being shut down and not allowing people to speak is not good for the brain. That's called communism, and we don't practice that here. Amanda says, Dennis, don't pout. We want the question, and Jake is just trying to explain. If you ask a question, I'm going to answer it. That's why this portion of the show is called Question and Answer. You understand that? It's in the description of the page. Question and answer. Q&A. That's kind of incumbent upon me to answer your question. That's how this works. Smarmy? Yes. True? Yes. April says, is that a disco ball? Or that is a disco ball? Yes. Kind of, sort of, actually. Kevin says, mind equals Dennis. Question. Yes. April says, LOL. And Aaron says, yes, Kevin. And Debbie says, there is an infinity of numbers because no matter how big, you can always add one to it. Yeah. And if you believe in math, you have to believe in God because infinity exists. And the perfection of math is proof of God because only information comes from a mind. Math wouldn't exist if there was no God. Mathematicians have a real problem with that one, let me tell you, but it's true. Kevin says, thanks, Aaron. Amy says, most things are greater than I could imagine or even begin to wrap around my head. And God is omnipotent and omnipresent. Agreed. Dennis says, no, I won't be given questions because I always end up being talked down to, in my opinion. Well, your opinion's stupid. That's being talked down to. See the difference? If I answer your question, you think you're being talked down to. You are a spoiled brat. That's what's happening here. Stop being a spoiled brat and expect an answer to the question you asked. I'm not here to agree with you. I'm here to instruct you. I can't do that if I agree with everything you say. By the way, if you were right about everything, you'd have a channel teaching people. Got it? God puts people where they are for a reason. Those reasons are valid. Nobody's talking down to you, Dennis. My guess is, and if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. My guess is you get to drinking too much and you think you're being offended by everybody. Nobody's trying to offend you. Especially not me. But I also ain't gonna take no bullshit from you either. You're a grown man, act like it. Stop whining. That's not talking down to you, that's a fact, Jack. Kevin says, even the emptiest part of space has light traveling through it. Yes, and also atoms and other particles. There's no such thing as nothing. The only place nothing exists is before the universe began. And Judy says, sorry you feel that way, Dennis. I am too. And I wish you could get over it. That's your biggest flaw. I don't even know what pissed you off. I don't even understand why you can't have a conversation with more than one person if they don't agree with you. Kevin says, Dennis, I'm sorry you feel that way. Do you see a pattern here, Dennis? Read the chat for yourself. Are you seeing a pattern? Is it ever going to occur to you that if you hear the word asshole and you look to the left and you don't see one and you look to the right and you don't see one, it's you? Amanda says, really, Dennis, pouting If anyone disagrees with you, they're talking down to you. Ever think people are trying to see where you're coming from? You ever heard the expression, arguing the angles? That's what a conversation is. It's a give and take. Amanda says, sorry you feel that way, Dennis. Dennis says, my mind is the only one I have seen that works the way that it does. That should be a big clue to you. Big one. I don't know why you can't see it. It's right in front of you. You said it out of your own mouth. Let me put it in terms you can understand. This is me saying it. My mind is the only one in existence that works the way that it does. Yours can't compare to it. You hear yourself? Last time my IQ was tested was 131. Bullshit. And it is going against the normal progression of IQ. Really. Come on, man. First of all, I could give a shit less what your IQ stands for because it only measures math. Second of all, you think that makes you smart? It don't. Smart and book smart are not the same thing. There's a whole category called wisdom that you're lacking. That's where I come in. That's what I peddle in. I deal in wisdom, which you don't have any of. How do I know that? Because we're having this conversation. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to be your friend, and you're smacking my mouth while I'm trying to do it. That's unwise. So, pat yourself on the back until you break your arm if you want to. That 131 means nothing. Unless you're a mathematician, then it might mean something. Unless you're trying to join Mensa, then it might mean something. I won't bother to tell you what mine is because I just told you it doesn't mean anything. Amanda says IQ has absolutely nothing to do with believing in God and creating versus evolution. Or creation versus evolution. Dennis says, this is why I get in the spot I'm in. I'm not dumb or a moron or a child. You get in the spot you're in because you start whining when people disagree with you. There's no other reason. I've invited you into every conversation I've ever had, and I've included you without prejudice in every conversation I've ever had. And you, without fail, show your ass every time you don't get your way in that conversation. You are not the be-all, end-all of this chat or any other. You're a member of this show. Act like it. Nobody said you were dumb. Nobody said you were a moron. And nobody said you were a child. But you were exhibiting expressions of all three of your own accord. Go back and read the chat if you think I'm wrong. And Dennis, Kevin says, Dennis, who is saying any of those things to you? Nobody. Think about that, Amanda. Think about what? That you think about yourself and no one else? We've already thought about it. Again, there's a pattern forming in the chat. Can you see it? Amy says, maybe it's the way your questions are phrased or something. They come off as argumentative. It's hard to express intent via text. That's also true. And we've been through that before also. This isn't our first time around this particular argument. I'm sorry that you think you know everything. I'm sorry that no one can have a conversation with you. That's not our fault. That's a you problem, You have to solve it. You're welcome here. We all want to be your friend. I'm trying desperately to reach you. Guess who's stopping that? Is it me? Amanda says, so you're saying we're dumb or a moron or a child for believing in creation and creators? I don't think there's a capacity to see the reverse of the thing that he's saying. And now we are in a... Hold on, my chat jumped. Hang on. 10:43. Now we are in a spot where Jake is going to respond like he knows everything I want to know. I was talking to Kevin, not Jake, but Jake sees me as arguing with him. No, I never saw you as arguing with me until you started arguing with me. Number one, this is my show. Kevin's not the speaker here. I am. So if you're talking to Kevin and I'm reading the chat, I'm going to respond to it and what he says too, and what everybody else says too. I give everybody equal time, and I give an earnest expression of whatever I think the answer to that question is, regardless of who they're talking to. That's irrelevant. It's called a conversation, and we're all in it. Ask anybody else if they have any trouble with what's happening here tonight. Go ahead. I'll wait. Let me know when you have your answer. Notice how everyone is slowly turning against you, one by one, while they're trying to have conversation with you, and then they say, yeah, I'm done. But you think it's me. Let me tell you something, Kevin. I have never once acted like I knew everything. I have never once, not Kevin, Dennis, sorry. I have never once acted like I knew everything. I've never once expressed that I know everything. That's not the purpose of this show, for me to know everything. But we are talking about a subject that I have spent 45 years studying, and I am the authority in this room and all people that are here on this subject. That's why they come and listen. That's why the show exists. That's why you're here. You understand that? I don't know everything. I'm wrong in this chat at least twice. What makes you think I know everything? Because I speak with authority? Or because I don't put up with your bullshit? Who do you think you are? Amazing. April says, ha ha. Kevin says, well, this is Jake's Bible study. Right? And you're invited. But you don't get to run the show. Nor does anybody else. Amanda's my wife, and I talk over her. Do you not understand that that's how this works? Is there any part of the format that you don't grasp? I read, and then I answer questions. Question and answer. Read the description of the show. Have you read the description of the show? It's in the description of the show, what I'm doing here right now. Every word of it. Take a moment and click description and read what the show is. Then you'll understand what's happening. Unless you can't, in which case you answered your own question. You're a moronic child that's over-obsessing on itself. Are you? Amy says, Jesus loves us all. He does. Dennis says, I'm not debating anything. I was talking. That is all. Then leave. Because we're trying to have a conversation and you're not going to be the center of it forever. April says, yes, he does. Prayers. I don't really, but thank you. And Kevin says, Dennis and I think we came to the same conclusion. Dennis and I think we came to the same conclusion. Probably. I don't think that matters. I think Dennis wants attention, and this is his way of getting it. Amy says, we love you, Dennis. And Amanda says, so talk. You already know Jake is going to try to get you to understand. Regardless, it's his job. Listen, be open-minded, and learn. Believe or don't. That's on you. But if you don't, I feel sorry for you in my judgment day, or in judgment day. Yeah, if you don't listen, that's your problem. Thank you. Dennis says, and I spoke to Kevin's statement. I did not refute anything Jake said. Doesn't matter. Why do you not understand this? I read the whole chat, all of it, and I respond to all of it. That's my job. Why do you not get that? And it doesn't matter if you were talking to me or if you were talking to the man on the moon. If your statement was incorrect, I'm going to try to correct it because I'm an educator. I'm trying to educate here. Ask yourself one question. Why is it that you think if I say you're wrong, does that then in turn sound like I think I know everything? Do you think more than one thing can be true at the same time? Can you both be wrong and I also just be a humble educator? Is that possible? Amanda says, Dennis says, Amanda, where did that come from? Did I say I didn't believe? No. She's saying you are arguing with me as if I've done something to offend you. My job is to argue with you and say things that are correct. And when you say things that are incorrect, my job is to correct them in this format. If you don't listen, that's your business. But if you don't listen, she feels sorry for you on Judgment Day. That's what she said. And she's correct. Kevin says, Dennis, you could start your comment with, this comment is for Kevin. I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm going to read it anyway. That's what I do here. I've been doing this for 13 years, Dennis. 13 years. The format has never changed. Are you under the impression that you can just hijack the show and then it's yours? It's called a question and answer session that comes at the end of a read about the things we read. Every statement you make, I am coloring with what we just read. If you are asking questions that have nothing to do with what we just read, then you are a disruptor that is not being part of the conversation being had. Understand that? We just spent an hour reading from a book, and now we're discussing things that are in relation to that book. Trying to, anyway. Everybody's over it, apparently. Good job. Way to derail a good conversation. Amanda says, I said if. I never said you didn't. Dennis says, or I can just keep my mouth shut because I'm obviously the problem. Obviously. Maybe you should. Maybe if you're not grown up enough to have a conversation at the big boys' table, maybe you should sit at the kids' table and listen from afar. Until you can figure out how to talk with the big boys, who can handle a little criticism, for God's sakes. I was told I was wrong 3 times in this conversation. Did you hear me get mad at anybody? You know why? Number 1, I'm secure with my own intelligence. Number 2, I can handle a little criticism. And number 3, I trust and respect the people I'm talking to. If they say I'm wrong, I'll look into it. Maybe you should try that. And in that order. I swear to God, you make me want to start drinking. Amanda says, oh my God, Dennis, really? Don't act like a kid. April says, right on, thumbs up. Amanda says, I'm not going to try to explain it to you. Kevin says, Dennis, is it possible you're being a tad oversensitive? Dennis says, agree to disagree. Don't care if you disagree. Nobody is hanging your diploma on the wall of their agreement. Disagree all you like. Don't care. Why are you making a big deal out of your disagreement with my statements? Do you think it helps? Do you think you're teaching anybody something? Do you think your moral stance on your agreement or disagreement with me is going to make everybody stop listening to me or something? Or start? Dennis says, Kevin, do you not see I'm now having to deal out answer to 3 or 4 people? Yeah, it's called a conversation. Everyone here is having to do that. Most of us don't think that is a chore. Most of us enjoy it. What are you talking about? Seriously? Do you not see that I now have to engage with more than one person? Yeah, that's what we're doing here. All of us are kind of talking around the same subjects. Except for you. Come on now. Get with it, Dennis. Take a deep breath. Get some fresh air in you. Let some of that blood alcohol level come down a little bit. And understand that you're in a room with people talking about things that are very big. It's a big subject. And it's, a different way of thinking. This place that you're at is called UntetheredLive. It is a church. And I am the pastor of that church. It says right here in my name, Pastor Jake Johnson. That's me. That means that I am teaching this congregation a different way to look at the world. Not like anything that's come before it. I'm a unique individual teaching what I see to be the truth about the Bible that we read. Everything about it is going to rub you in some way, because that's the nature of being profoundly changed as a human being and learning how to worship and love God. Did you think that was going to be an easy journey? Did you think that was going to be fun? Did you think that you were going to agree with it all, or that everything would just make perfect sense to you? No, that's not how God works. It's called wrestling with God for a reason. If you're not pushing against it, if you're not struggling with it, you're not Christianing right. That being said, the way you get to God is through conversation. You read the book, and then you rightly divide the Word of God. You know how to rightly divide the Word of God? You have a conversation with more than one person. Those are called elders of the church. Like Kevin is an elder of this church. I'm an elder of this church. And you could be too, if you were part of the conversation, rather than trying to be the derailer of it. Amanda says, okay then, Dennis, if you don't want anyone else to say anything, then ask your question directly from now on. Dennis says, I'm done. Good. See ya. See how easy that was? Bye-bye. Or what? Don't care. What is your point? What are you trying to achieve here? You think you're scaring me? You think it hurts my feelings that you're done? Oh, Jesus, he quit on me. How can I sleep tonight? April says, Dennis, it's all right, hon. Hugs and love to you. Amanda says, of course you are. Dennis, sorry, I don't know why that keeps happening. Kevin says, Dennis, are you and me good? Dennis says, I have only said what I said. Yeah, I know. I still don't understand what your point is, though. And I did not say anyone was wrong. Nobody said you did. You're the one that started this argument about you. Nobody has said you were wrong. Nobody has called you any names. Nobody has said they were right. We're all just trying to have a conversation, and you keep pointing out that you can't talk to people. That's it. That's what's happening here. You can't have a conversation. It has to be about you. You can't take criticism. You can't be told that you're not on the right line of thinking. You can't discuss something that you clearly don't understand with other people that clearly don't understand it. You can't not be the center of attention. Nobody said you were wrong. Nobody pointed you out as a bad guy. Nobody started an argument with you. This came from you, and it is a result of you. I'm only getting hyperbolic because I'm trying to stress the point to you in a way that will get through the haze, whatever your issue is. I said, agree to disagree. Well, that's the point right there. You said. You don't have the authority to say. You are a guest in my house. Act like it. With Kevin, not Jake. It's my show, buddy. But now Jake is on me like I did. Please ask him to stop. Not going to happen. If you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. You started this argument. I'm going to finish it. And I'm going to do it with as much respect as I can muster with someone who is clearly trying to disrail the people that are trying to get closer to God. You're being a stumbling block, and you need to stop doing that. It's not your place to do that. Dennis says, I said that, Amanda. You said what? I thought you just got finished saying you didn't say that. Kevin says, Dennis, are we good? Dennis says, see what I mean? Kevin, I don't know why you wouldn't be good. Dennis and me are good. I'm not angry at Dennis. Dennis is angry at Dennis. See what you mean. What do you mean? I told you, I'm not going to take the bullshit. I'm not going to allow you to say things that are not correct. It's not going to happen. If that's what you mean, congratulations, you're right. If you're going to come here, you're going to talk to everybody, including me. Don't like that? Don't come here. I want you to come here, but you're going to act accordingly when you do. April says, I made it home. Excellent. Yay. Amanda says, because you're acting like an overgrown baby again, Dennis. He does this with everyone. I do. Everyone. And most people handle it. Because it's a good, productive conversation. Unless you know everything and have got it all figured out and I'm wrong, there's no problem here. Which is it? Dennis says, and you are in the room with him, right? Who? Amanda? No, she's in the other room, outside of this room. I'm in a room by myself. What's your point? April says, yes, Dennis, Jake does this to all of us. Now I'm a baby. No, you're acting like one, though. Amy says, I want a lollipop. So does Dennis. April says, don't be offended. Learn from it. I love you. And Amanda says, acting like. I didn't say you were one. Don't twist my words. Dennis says, I love you too, April, but this is not good. How is it not good? Explain to me how this is not good. Do you understand what the word good means? Until you got here, we were learning and teaching the Word of God, which is very much good. And then you had to go and crap on the parade with your antics. So what's not good exactly? I'll wait. Clearly formulate your words so that we all can understand and speak slowly. What's not good here? And it says, I have never tried any of this that I've gotten accused of. I spoke to Kevin, and here we are. Well, two things. Number one, nobody's accused you of anything. What are you talking about? And number two, you can speak to Kevin all you like. This is my show. I'm going to speak to everyone here. I didn't interfere with your conversation with Kevin, but I answered your question nonetheless, because that's what I do. April says, Dennis, love, just breathe in and out. Calm down, honey. Amanda says, drop it and get over it then. And Debbie says, I learned tonight that Greek, Norse, etc. isn't mythology, it's their history. It's nonfiction. Mythology was a made-up word, probably from a Democrat. Ha ha. Right, probably so. There you go. That's a learned lesson tonight, and that's good. So how was that not good? April says, has anyone sang happy birthday to Amanda yet? Yeah, twice. Kevin says, Debbie 𝕊𝕬𝕬𝕪. And Amanda says, yes, April, thanks. Kevin says, Debbie, you're probably right. I think she is. Okay, you're not drinking. I apologize. Something's wrong, though, because you go through this on a monthly basis. Sometimes you let it slide. Sometimes you just get in here and just start showing your butt. I'm interested in knowing why, and I'd like to help you solve this problem. But it is a problem, and it is a you problem. It's not me. I hate to tell you that. I'm not your enemy. I know you want me to be, but I'm not. I'm trying to get you closer to God. That is my stated goal. Again, it's in the description of this show. If you didn't do your research as to what you were looking at, I'm sorry, but I wrote it down so that you would see it before you got in here. This is what I'm doing here. Now, if you want me to be your enemy, you can have that. I would rather you didn't. But if you keep pushing me, that's what you're going to have. That's up to you. If you think you can't learn anything here, keep doing the way you're doing. I'm not drinking, not smoking, and I cannot figure out where you get this stuff from because you're acting like you're drunk. Sorry, I've been around drunks my whole life, and you're acting just like one. You're not listening to reason, you're saying a bunch of nonsense that nobody said, and you're acting out of sorts. And you're pissing everybody off. That's what a drunk does. I apologize if you're not drinking, but you are acting like you are. So something is wrong. If it's not that, then it's manic depression or something. Fill me in. Don't let me come to my own conclusions. Tell me what the problem is, and I'll help you solve it. Again, I'm not your enemy. Aaron says, what is the emptiest part of space? That's a good question. I would probably say An atom is the emptiest part of space because it's 99% nothing. It's got stuff on the periphery and it's got a nucleus, but most of it is empty. So that's probably the emptiest part of space is an atom. Inside of an atom. Which is weird, because if everything is made up of something that's 99% nothing, then everything is almost nothing. Isn't that weird? But it's true. April says, I don't know. Well, I do know. Dennis says, oh, yeah, I see the pattern. What do you see as the pattern, Dennis? Because I'm willing to bet it's not the pattern everyone else sees. We can figure this out right here and right now if you wish to. You just state what you think the pattern is, and everyone else state what you think the pattern is that is emerging in this chat. And let's see who says what. That way, you can't just blame me. That way, everybody says what they think is true. Kevin says, Aaron, I don't know, but it's between the galaxies. Actually, if you look at a galaxy, it looks like a bunch of stuff compiled pretty tightly. It looks like a spiral. But right now, we are actually in a collision with another galaxy. And it's going to go on for the next however many years. God only knows how long. But the Andromeda galaxy is actually going through the Milky Way galaxy as we speak. And we're likely to never even come close to one of the stars of that galaxy. We're going to pass right through each other, and probably nothing will ever touch or even come close. That's how far apart things are in space, that they could pass right by each other. And if you were way, way far away, it would look like a collision. But in it, it's just like air passing through air. It's pretty interesting if you think about it. Where did I say anything like that, says Mind Stretcher. All the way up the chat, buddy. Aaron says, that's cool, Kevin. Dennis says, I said seen. I don't know what you're referring to. Now you're just saying words. Not the only one in existence. Again, what are you talking about? You got to add context to your statements. You can't just say words. This chat has been going on for a while, and I'm a little bit behind it. So I don't know what you're talking about. Add context, please. No, because you like disrespecting me. I haven't disrespected you once, Dennis. Not once. I've not said one disrespectful thing to you. Other than you're acting like you're drunk. That may be a little disrespectful. But other than that, you are acting like you're drunk. Read the chat. I've been reading the chat this whole time. That is my job. The thing that you are right now upset at me about, you just asked me to do. That's what I'm doing. Reading the chat and answering the chat with all the honesty that I can muster. Think about what you're saying. Debbie says, I don't know my IQ, but I know HQ humor quotient is that of a 12-year-old boy. Amen to that. Dennis, I work hard for my money, son. You make it harder. I don't know where I'm at. Hang on a second. I found it. Dennis says, no, my friends don't treat me like this. Well, your friends are probably scared of you. You probably pick your friends because they won't talk back to you. Think about that. I am not going to put up with you acting out. I'm not ever going to allow you to do that and get away with it. That's not what this space is. I am your friend. I am trying to be your friend. To me, that means bringing you closer to God and informing you with correct information and making sure that you see the world for what it is. That includes yourself. If you can't handle that, though, that is on you, and I don't care one way or the other. I have a lot of friends. I'll be sad, but I can handle having one less. If you want to be my friend, then you will bite your lip and take it like a man. If you don't, I can't help you. It's that simple. April says, come on and stop it. It's Amanda's birthday, and I don't want to hear about any more of this. Please, Dennis. Notice they didn't ask me to stop. Just pointing that out. Aaron says, dear Lord, how long is he going to spam? He's not spamming. He's dealing with in real time something that's bothering him. And I'm trying to help him get to the end of it. And yes, I understand that it's a little annoying, and I apologize for that, ladies and gentlemen. But as I stated earlier, I really am trying to be Dennis's friend, which means I really am allowing him a whole lot more latitude than I would allow most trolls. He's not trolling. He's genuinely screwed up in the head here. So if you want to allow me to continue working it through with him, so be it. If not, I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can with what I've got to work with. He's only just now beginning to see that everybody ain't on the same page as he is. Judy says, I wrote the happy birthday song to Amanda. April, does that count? Yes. Yes, it does. And Aaron says, Judy. And Aaron says, that part. Amanda says, absolutely, Judy. Dennis says, and please explain. There you go, asking me to answer a question. Make sure you want the answer before you ask it. Please explain how this is all my fault because you started it. Because everyone else was having a pleasant conversation and then you started whining about me telling you you were wrong. Sorry. You were wrong. Where I was refuting anyone or telling anyone what they know. That's what you started. Yeah. Where did I treat anyone poorly? What statement? The first one. And nobody said you treated anybody poorly. You made that up on your own account. Everything you are having a problem with, you made up. That did not happen. You understand that? You go back to the first thing that you disagreed with. Agree to disagree. Nobody said you were wrong. Everybody was stating their opinion of what things are. Because it's a conversation, between friends. Then you said disagree to disagree or whatever. And then you started harping on that. Then you said, well, I wasn't even talking to Jake. Well, it's my show, buddy. So, yeah, you started this. And you're going to stick it out till it ends, or you're going to run off and stomp your feet and cry like a baby. Whichever way you go, I'm going to finish it. However you want to handle it. Amy says, it reminds me of the time that Jake and Dennis argued about the existence of Bigfoot. I know, right? Some more nonsense that we agreed to disagree on. Forcefully. Judy says, hey, Aaron. Dennis says, I know that, Kevin. You know what? Again, add context to your comment. Nobody knows what you're talking about, not even the person you're talking to. Judy says, Bigfoot, Amy? No, Amy's not Bigfoot. Aaron says, big feet exist, I have them. Bigfoot, not big feet. Amanda says, LOL, Aaron. And Judy says, LOL, Aaron. Dennis says, I come here because of your knowledge on the Bible, period. Good. I spoke to Kevin. I did not disrespect anyone. Nobody said you disrespected anyone. What is your fascination with disrespect? Who said you disrespected anybody? Kevin spoke to you. What's your point? I read the comment. What's your point? Did you not expect me to read the comment? Do you think that I parse through the comments to skip over anything that isn't addressed directly to me? You think that's how this works? Aaron says, laughing is good. Dennis says, and yet here we are. Yes, because you put us here. Absolutely correct. Here we are. Deal with it. Man up and stand your ground or stop talking. Either way. If you have a point, make it. If you don't, shh. Aaron says, man, let it go. Then it says, please explain. Explain what? Stop with the short sentences. Add context to your comment because nobody knows what you're talking about. Subject, object, preposition. Dangling participle if you must. Noun, verb, adverbally. Come on, man. Then what was my question? I don't know. Nobody does. Now you made my teeth loose. Hang on. I spoke to Kevin. Yes, you did. And he spoke back to you. And I read the comments because that's what I do. You got a problem with that? Don't like it? I thought you came here because of my knowledge on the Bible. What's the matter? You come here for my knowledge on the Bible unless you think I'm wrong? You don't get to choose, buddy. I know what I know. If you came here to listen to me talk, then you came here to listen to me talk. You don't get to tell me I'm wrong. April says, happy birthday, Amanda, love. I love you. And I'm so tired, so I'm going to go to bed. See y'all tomorrow, everyone. Hearts and prayers. God bless us all. Say your prayers. I love you, April. Excuse me. Thank you for being here. Amanda says, good night, April, and thanks. Amy says, laughter is the best medicine, Aaron, unless you're dying of laughter. Ooh, touche. That's a good one. Dennis says, I will not speak again. That's fine by me, buddy. If you can't learn, that's fine by me. Aaron says, I hear the wind picking up, and I see the clouds are coming. The storm's approaching. Amy says, I'm calling it a night, y'all. I'm going into lurker mode. Amy, thank you for being here, love. Prayers and sweet dreams. It's a pile-on, really? What the hell are you talking about? I'm the only person talking to you right now. It's a pile-on? Really? Are you that insecure? Can you really not stand being in a room with more than one person? It's a pile-on. And you think you're not clamoring for attention? Showing your butt, as it were. Who's piling on you? Everyone in this room is trying to avoid you because they don't want to tell you you're being silly. I'm the only person addressing you. Amy says, I love you all so very much. I love you too, Amy. Thank you for being here. Aaron says, psst. I'll pull you out of lurker mode, Amy. And Amanda says, good night, Amy. Aaron says, taps Amy, get the popcorn. And Judy says, bye, April. Bye, Amy. Stay safe, Aaron. Judy, are you leaving, or are you just saying bye to everybody that it is? Notice how everybody's piling out of the door now? Thanks. I appreciate that. I was hoping this would go on another hour. Sorry. Aaron says, April, you are loved and welcome, appreciated, and missed. Dennis says, Amanda, I'm sorry this happened on your birthday. I love you all despite how I get treated. How do you get treated? Happy birthday, seriously. I will not be speaking again. I thought you've already said that, because this is not fair. How is it not fair? Jesus Christ. You're going to make me ban you, aren't you? I don't want to ban you, but I absolutely am thinking about it, because that's ridiculous. How is this not fair? You can't stand your ground? You have a point, but you can't make it? Not fair. Aaron says, Judy, I'm safe. I'm moving out of the way. Judy says, good idea, Aaron. Aaron says, yes. Amanda says, that's KS, Dennis. Or thanks, Dennis. Oh, sorry. Thanks, Dennis. Dennis says, that's not fair. I'm sorry. How is that not fair? In what way have you not been treated fairly? I'm dying to hear this. No, we aren't good, Jake. I didn't ask you if we were good. Kevin asked you if you were good, because he cares about how you feel about him. Kevin's a good man. And if you disrespect him when you're addressing him, I will boot you so fast your eyes will spin. You can say whatever you want to me. But I didn't ask you if we were good. You pinned this on me and talk crap to me when I just talked to Kevin. And then you attacked me. I haven't attacked you yet. I haven't even begun to tell you what I think about your behavior. Not even close. I'm still waiting to hear what you've got to say about why you're acting this way. I've asked a few questions. You haven't been attacked. Everything that's happening to you is happening in your mind. Now would be a good time for anybody to step in and back me up. Or him, if you think he's being treated unfairly. If you think I'm in the wrong, say so, for God's sakes. Let's get this over with. It's people like this that make me think this isn't worth it. Do you have any idea how hard I work to bring what knowledge I have to you for free? And you have the audacity to stand there and act like a moron in my face? How dare you, you insolent child? Why don't you take your ball and go home? That's what I think. I don't care if it's good between us. I've been trying for 2 years to satiate your fragile ego. You are a porcelain doll with nothing in it. You understand that? That's what I think. I've had enough of this. Say something or say nothing. Stop acting like a victim. You coward. You want to be attacked? You want to know what it sounds like for somebody to actually be angry at you? You're getting there. Congratulations. Again. Now would be a good time for anybody to say anything. Stand up for what you believe in. If you think you're right, say so. If you think I've acted unfairly or poorly, say so. One more, gone out the window. Linda says, okay, I'm going to bed. I'm going to say good night until tomorrow at 8:30. I love you all. Good night. I love you too, Linda. Thank you for being here, sweetheart. God bless you, and I'm sorry. Dennis came. You know what? I've had enough. You want to run the show? You come and host it tomorrow.